This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised. Good morning everybody. Dawn has broken here in the northeastern corner of South Africa. We're hopefully going to find you some lions on this Safari Live.
Ready.
Standing by.
Five, four, three, two, one. You are live, you are live.
Hello everybody. It is a very chilly 11 degrees Celsius, 52 degrees Fahrenheit here. Brian, the freezing icicle thumb. Well, it's not really an icicle thumb. What's wrong with his eye, Brian?
Got the eye patch on.
Oh, it's got an eye patch.
It's still a little bit sore.
Oh, you've got a sore eye still.
Yes.
Oh, I'm so sorry about that.
It's all right.
Good. Well, Brian, I hope that under the glove it will recover.
It will.
Good. Excellent. Now, as I said to you, it's quite chilly this morning, and many of you, including Chris Rogue, PK and Diane, have told us about the amazing sighting you had on the dam cam last night of the lions and the hippopotamus. I can find no hide nor hair of either of those two species here right now. I've come away. Diane, you said you thought they went down Central Road. I just came up in Vubu to go to check where they were yesterday. I haven't found any tracks, so what we're going to do is head back down Central Road, which is what you suggested, and we'll see if they perhaps are over there. So thank you very much for that, and I hope you were thoroughly entertained by it. You are on a live safari. Please talk to us. Hashtag Safari Live. Questions at wildearth.tv. If you wish to send us any comments or questions or perhaps any insults you want to pass on this morning, feel free to do so. I can't guarantee that I'll respond to them, but you know, we are in a free country full of free speech. I'm not sure why I said that. Now, on the other vehicle, we've got Taylor. She's being filmed by Jean Drey in his new hat and still Mowgli-esque sort of dreadlocks, which are disturbing to all and sundry. Yeah.
Very much so.
Now, let us have a little listen to the dawn chorus, because here, in this drainage line area, the sound is kind of echoing off the trees, and it's rather splendid. You can hear the orange-breasted bushshrike. You can hear Shivambalana, the emerald-spotted wood dove, going. Franklin's all around. Southern Lubu. The Birchall's cuckoo. The ringneck dove. Couple of wax bulls. Awesome. Greater blue. Sounds like a brew as well. Telephone bird. Isn't that gorgeous? All right, let us go and find the lions. As I said that, my stomach made a growling noise like a lion cub. It's a sign, Brian, it's a sign, I tell you. Okay. Well, we turn around here and I try not to bash Brian to death with a tree. Let's head across to Taylor and find out what her plans are on this chilly morning. Sorry, Brian.
Good morning to all the people this morning, and we are here free this morning. And my name is Taylor, and on camera with me we've got Jean-Ray. So it's Jean-Ray and my first drive this morning. How exciting is that? Woohoo! We're going to be lots of singing. We all know that I can't sing very well, so I think Jean-Ray is mainly going to be doing the singing. And our plan this morning is to try and locate on Thandi, who I've never seen before, and see how she is doing. Also don't know exactly where that sighting was, but we're going very slowly along one of the cut lines, and hopefully we will be not sad or anything along those lines. I think it's just freezing cold air meeting my eyeballs, and they don't seem to agree with each other this morning. So we're going to carry on. Hopefully find Thandi, and hopefully those cover around. How exciting would that be? I'm just going to and also did see something walking up along the road. It could have been possibly a big Inyala bull, but we'll see when we get a little bit closer. And all the guides from the other lodges, so hopefully we'll be able to get Thandi first and have a bit of quiet time with her. We're going through a bit of a dip now. No other leopards here, no. Up we climb this mountain. Now, where did I see that big object that was walking around here? Just going to have a quick look. And if you've just joined the show, we are on a live safari, and good morning to you. Well, good morning here in South Africa. Good afternoon, perhaps, to some of you. Good night to others. And if you'd like to chat to myself and James, you're welcome to either hashtag Safari Live or send us an email, questions@wildearth.tv. That's the address. And then you can most certainly have lovely conversations with James and I this morning. Now, Jean-Ray said the lions were calling lots and lots last night, so I hope James gets lucky and perhaps finds those lions doing something quite amazing. So because I don't know exactly where the sighting is, I'm sort of looking for quite a bit of activity on the roads or just off the road that will help me give an indication as to where exactly she was. guinea going back across yet. Now they've just come from south to north. Now they're going back again. Possibly there was something on the other side of the road they didn't quite enjoy. Providing lots of entertainment for us as usual. Good old guinea fowl. That is a stunning way to start the day. We even had a beautiful sunset last night. I think we must have the best sunsets and the best sunrises in the world. What do you think, Chandre? Especially when you're out in the African bush. There we go. Now that you have seen the sunrise completely, I hope that that's going to brighten up your day, and possibly you can hear the little guinea fowls chatting away in the distance. Now I think we had some impala. The impala's still here. No, they've moved off slightly. Let me go further forward. You can just see them there. Now they look very cold, as we know that they like to fluff themselves up on these chilly mornings. But let's go a little bit further forward. Oh, I don't get a fright. Oh, now they're jumping. It's just me. There's quite a nice herd of them here. Let's see. Here we go. Now you can see how freezing cold they are. They're all standing in a lovely line for you. Sorry, I keep parking. This road is not the most level road. So you'll see every now and then I make Gendre's life very difficult for him. Quite a few of them. Now, it's only about 51 degrees Fahrenheit here, which is frosty. Not quite frost, but to us it's freezing cold. And I feel as though I was not prepared this morning, or actually prepared at all this cycle for winter. I thought it had up and left us already. And it seems like the impala don't seem too impressed either. However, tomorrow is going to be an absolute scorcher. It's probably, I'm just trying to practice my conversion, it's going to be in the high 90 degree Fahrenheit, maybe pushing even into the hundreds. And you can see everybody, again, as we've been chatting about the last few days, making a lot of headway and trying to eat as much of the new greenery that's coming through, either on the leaves or pushing up from the ground. Now, the grass doesn't seem to be growing anymore, unfortunately. It's the leaves' turn. They are coming out in full force, and I must say it's going to make walking quite interesting in the next few weeks as these trees fill out and the brush becomes a lot denser than what we've been seeing it sort of dry and miserable over the last few months, but it's refreshing. Here we go. You can see that lovely impala ewe plucking out all those new green shoots. And a big male at the back as well. All got their heads down though. A little bit fluffed up, not too bad. And always on alert. That's what happened just now when I started jigger. They all got a little bit of a fright and bounced around, but then they settled down again. Well, there's actually two lovely boys that we're looking at. They're going to start chasing each other around again. I can hear impala alarm calling. We need to go up ahead, everyone. You can see those impala staring. And then Nyala came running straight towards us, and I can hear the impala alarm calling. Let's race away quickly. Let's go. See what's happening. It doesn't sound like it's too far off the road. Now I'm wondering if we aren't getting to the area where Thandi was seen. Or someone's talking on the radio. Now I know most of you at home are quite worried about Thandi's cubs. Let's see, I've got some waterbuck here. I've got a waterbuck running. Just scanning quickly. I can see all the impalas staring in the distance. Let's just see if I can get a gap. Down there. See, that waterbuck doesn't seem too phased. There is a group of impala. It might be difficult. There we go. You can just see them. Now, they're all staring away from us. They're sort of staring a little bit sort of southeast. And they're actually walking towards... Here we go. Did you hear that alarm call? It's coming from just up in front of us. They're all looking. But the others don't seem to have started alarming just yet. Okay, let's go up a little bit further where I can hear these alarms exactly. Now, sorry, I was saying that I know that a few of you are quite worried about Tandy's cubs, and you have all right to be worried, but I don't think panic just yet. I think that I'm pretty sure that those little ones managed to get away. Now you see, I see lots of vehicle activity here, so I suspect that this is where Tandy has been, and I think that those cubs ran quickly, and with Mom's very quick response, I'm sure she would have chased those baboons away. But let's have a little look here. Like I said, lots of vehicle activity turning around. I'm going to stop again. I can see there's another impala straight through down in the distance. And I wonder if that wasn't the one that was alarming. You can just see, very, very difficult. Looks like a tree. Male impala standing there. I'm just having a little listen. Impala doesn't seem to be doing too much now. I'm just checking the trees because I know that Tandy was sitting in a tree yesterday. Yeah, I can actually see leopard tracks, that looks like, or is it maybe baboon? Just having a look on the road. It's quite difficult. They're quite close down here. I'll have a proper look now. I have a feeling that this is exactly the area where Tandy was. So we need to just listen and look around and just see if we can see her perhaps sitting up in any of the trees. We know she loves these marula trees. Sorry, my earpiece has now come out. Get back in there. I thought it would be cold. I didn't think it would want to jump around too much today. I can't see anything yet. I'm going to go up a little bit further again. Oh, yes. Just keep checking. I've got my eyes peeled just on all the surrounding vegetation, seeing if I can spot those rosettes that blend in so well. Right, no, it doesn't look like there's anything here just yet, but obviously we heard those impala alarming. Now unfortunately we all know we can't off-road here, but while I carry on searching, I'm going to drive up and down a few times and sit and listen, and while we do that, let's go see how James's search on the Humas is doing.
Well, everybody, you'll be pleased to know that the morning has turned out precisely as we hoped it would. The lions are over there. What I'm not going to tell you is that we drove past them as we came out and didn't spot them the first time round. So I'm not going to tell you that, but we've just spotted them. And there they are. There's one male. There are a number of females. I haven't seen any cubs yet, but everybody seems to be... Oh, no, that's a Franklin, not a cub. I'm sure they're all here somewhere, because they're all huddled in the early morning trying to stay warm, because as I said to you, it is a little bit chilly. Maybe they aren't all here. Let's have a look-see. They do seem to... There's a great pile of lions is what's going on here. We'll just ease into position here. This is not the best view of them, of course. Right, let's move around. There they are, obviously, you can see them there. We'll try and go around the other side a bit, I think. I think all the cubs are actually there, piled in, trying to stay warm. So we're just below the dam. You can see the dam wall in front of us. Hello, Nicole. You want to know if there's a reason that baby lions are not called, baby lions, leopards and tigers and jaguars are called cubs and not kittens. There's going to be a bit of a crunching noise now, everybody. There is a reason, and that reason is basically just quirk of the English language. In the same way that Oh, sorry. I'm just trying to think of another example. I'll think of one just now. But basically, it is a quirk of the English language, and the tradition is that anything, and the big cats, so the genus that belongs to Panthera, the genus to which the tigers and lions and jaguars belong, you call them cubs. And indeed, probably also snow leopards and those sorts of big cats which don't belong to the genus Panthera, you'd also call them cubs. And it's just the big cats, basically, that are called cubs and not kittens. But it's just a quirk of English. Now, I'm going to hope and assume they're going to get going at some stage and move out of this thicket, which is in a slightly inconvenient position. They may just lie there, however, for the rest of the day. There were some impala moving close towards them, seemingly oblivious. So if we sit here for long enough, those impala might wander down here. And, well, one of them might be eaten, Brian. Now, quite interestingly, if we look at the male, Brian, if you don't mind going to the male and just behind his mane, what you can see there, just that sort of grey bit behind the bush, it looks a little bit like that mange. And I was watching yesterday from the tent in the afternoon while Brent and Brian were with the lions here. And Brian, I don't know about you, but it does look to me like that one cub is looking a bit mangy.
There are a couple that look a little bit mangy.
Couple of them looking a bit mangy, which is worrying to me. I'm not sure how well they'll do, given that the sticks now I think only have 2 left, possibly even 1, maybe even none. And that is probably due to the mange. Now, I think these guys will probably have a better chance of surviving it because they've been eating so very well. I think that one young female who had the 3 teddy bears produces really good milk. I've never seen such fat little lion cubs, and so I think they're probably in pretty good nutritional state, and that will in all likelihood allow them to kind of get through the difficulties associated with being sick. The Styx Pride seemed to be rather neglected, I thought. Not very good gangsters, the Styx Pride. This is a particularly good crime family that we're looking at now, the Nkuhuma Pride. They look after their youngsters really well. There you can see that male is in fact alive. You can see him breathing. I've never seen lions in this temperature so asleep. You'd expect them to be up and about by now. They could easily have killed something small last night, but given that you all saw them at about, well, just over an hour ago around the damn camera, and they weren't eating then, I don't think they have eaten. They're probably just in need of a bit of a rest. I'm hoping the cubs will get a little bit active before the main day's sleep. But who knows? I think they're huddling like this because it's cold. Hello, Stephanie. You're wondering if this male is going to stay with the pride until another female goes into estrus. Stephanie, the answer is not necessarily. I think he's probably here because one of them is going into sort of proto-estrus. We think maybe Amber Eyes is pregnant. I'm not sure about that myself. I haven't had a good look at her. But there's also another lioness who hasn't had babies yet. She might be coming into some kind of estrus. She could easily be sort of showing signs of it. And those hormones that are now being sort of excreted with her urine, the male will pick up on. So he might be lurking around here in the hopes of mating with her fairly soon. I think that's more likely than him kind of hoping mindlessly that one of them's going to come into heat or estrus. Lots of beautiful bird call around us. You can see exactly why the lions are snoozing here. It just seems like a particularly comfortable spot to be. The sun has just peeped up now. You can see it's going to start to bathe this Tambuti grove in very pleasant light soon. And with any luck, these cubs will get up and do something deeply exciting. They may just lie right there, though. Might also try and reposition slightly so we can get another view of them. I'm just struggling to think how I'm going to do that without creating some kind of disturbance. But this is not the best lion view we've ever had, is it, Brian? No, it is not. All right, let's have a go. Right, what I'm going to do, I'm going to drive onto this very closest section here. It's going to be very close to the lions, so I'm just going to keep going past them. I don't want to stop that close to them and make them feel uncomfortable, nor do I wish to make myself feel uncomfortable, of course. So we're going to talk very quietly and just keep going straight past. All right there, Brian? Sorry, lions. See, they have actually sat up slightly there. Now we'll try and turn round. Get a nice view. Michael, you're wondering about mange in the Styx Pride and whether or not, I think your question was, is it not the mange rather than the... Ow. I just squashed my fingers. You're wondering if it's not the mange rather than the neglect that has caused the Styx Prides to not be so well. So in other words, if they hadn't had mange, would the mothers have been more successful? I'm sure they would have. It just seemed to me, and I mean this is based on 2 or 3 sightings, so it's not like I spent a huge amount of time with the Styx Pride. Are we all right back there, man? It just seemed to me, Michael, that those lionesses spent a lot of time unsuccessfully hunting away from the cubs. How's that, Brian? Now we are very close to them, but they don't seem to be reacting to us at all. In fact, if anything, they've managed to get themselves into even deeper slumber than they were before. So I was watching yesterday from the tent, and the sight of that Birmingham boy snoring away was too amusing for words. Hello, Kathy. You say, what is that bird calling in the background? Kathy, there are about 74 birds calling in the background. Not sure which one you can hear. The most obvious is the ring-necked dove, which is going... Then there's the crested barbed going... That's the crested barbed. There's a black-headed oriole going... Kathy, if any of those were correct, let me know, and then I'll show you a picture. Ah, there's a teddy bear, Brian. Fast asleep. Next to another one, which is also fast asleep. Now, let's head across to Taylor. She's got an aerial scavenger to show you. Normally, of course, we come to the lions in the morning hoping they'll be doing something. Hopefully, when you come back, they will be.
We have got a batelier perched in a marula, grooming itself. I think this batelier is feeling what we are all feeling, very chilly, and taking advantage now of the lovely sun, those warm rays that are coming through. And hopefully it will warm up nicely, and then it will go about its day. Perhaps it's a nice clear day. I presume there's going to be lots of nice thermals out and about. It's always nice to start your morning off with a batelier. Lovely, just sitting there. Well, I think we're going to just let it groom. Now, I did want to catch up and let you know our conclusion about Madam Thandi. Now, we picked up some of her tracks. We were walking down along the road, but they were from yesterday. And then we picked up some more, coming along quite a large game path and then crossing the road and then going into Torchwood. So I don't know if she's perhaps gone off hunting. I didn't see any tracks of the cubs, so maybe she's left her cubs, stashed them where they are, and she's gone on a little bit of a patrol. Well, we're going to check Cheetah Cutline to see if she perhaps hasn't come back across, coming west, and then we'll take it from there. So that is our plan. We're going to go very, very slowly along. Oh, but I can see my favorite animal in the whole world up ahead. Come on, Jigger. Elephants, which we're going to go to. They're far away, but they're down there, and I'm so excited. They're very sneaky because we've been sitting here for a few minutes looking at this batelier, and I was hoping that it was going to take off for us, but obviously it didn't, and I didn't even hear the elephants up ahead. But that's okay, we spotted them with our eyes, and now I'm going to show you them. Not too much further now, just a few more seconds of driving. Let's see how many elephants are here. Quite nice, they seem to be out in the nice open as well. There's lots of animals around here. I saw some kudu in the very far distance. I think they may join up perhaps with the elephants. They're walking just on the other side. Good morning, elephants. Let's see how they're going to act towards us today. You can see it's not a big herd. Hi, little ones. Oh, I think we're going to have a cheeky response from this little elephant. Oh my goodness, we're being charged. Hold on, everybody. Stand your ground. Don't move. No, I'm just teasing. It's nothing to be alarmed by. Hello, big girl. Sorry, I'm just talking to Mom, who's coming towards us. I wasn't saying anything ugly about your little one, I promise. I was just saying how nice and wonderful. And she's talking to them. I don't know if you can hear. She's doing very soft little rumbles. Oh, I'm disappointed we didn't get a big charge from this little elephant. Obviously still learning how to be brave. I'm just crossing over though, almost for reassurance. Yeah, a little family group. It's very nice. There doesn't seem to be any more elephants. It's just the four of them. Look at that lovely golden light. You can see why that batelier was sitting so nicely up in that tree, warming up, like I said. And Jean-Andre and I were discussing how pleasant it is when we are still. So I'm quite glad that we managed to find these elephants. I didn't have to carry on doing too much driving. Something that I've noticed over the last almost about a week now, is that temporal gland on a lot of the elephants that we saw weeping in the last few months seems to have dried up now. And I wonder if they weren't secreting the liquid from the temporal gland purely because they were stressed because of the lack of food. And now that the food is coming back in small amounts, they seem to be less stressed. What I'm going to do is let me move forward a little bit because I think I can get a much better view. We've got a few little leaves in the way. I'm just going to start up very quickly. No. I keep forgetting I have to turn the key a little bit longer with Jigger. I'll get there. Hello, girl. Yes, I think this is going to be quite nice, and we're going to have a lovely view of the little elephant who's smelling us. Everybody's very happy this morning. Well, that little one's trying to do too many things at once. It was sticking its back leg out and then trying to stretch its trunk out. I don't even think it's learned how to use its little trunk too well just yet, so multitasking is definitely not on the agenda of this little one. Move out of the way, bossing the older sibling. There you go, now you're going to watch it try and pick some leaves off. Oh, you're actually doing a good, not a bad job. Well done. That was good. I'm not giving this little elephant enough credit. It's been practicing quite often. Oh, it must have a tutor in trunk usage. See there, those are tiny little leaves. Now, for a young elephant, that would normally be quite difficult to pluck those little fresh leaves from. Looks like it to be a knobthorn. Oh, the knobthorn leaves aren't particularly big, so I think maybe this elephant is almost a year old. The fact that it's able to do that so well done, little elephant. I'm impressed. So I take it back. I think you can multitask. However, you haven't multitasking until you can eat and you can use the facilities, the luxury toilets at the same time. Then I think that you have succeeded in life if you're an elephant. If you can do both of those. Very efficient then. Out with the old and in with the new at the same time. That's a great way. Well, now they're slowly disappearing. Now, in watching these elephants all pick and eat the lovely new green vegetation that's coming through, and Marilee would like to know this morning, firstly, good morning to you, Marilee. You would like to know, well, you've pointed out that the elephant's hips and bones are still showing and wondering if they're still starving. Now, that sort of cause has been over quite a few months of a lack of food. So now that this new green vegetation has just come through, it is going to take them a few weeks, possibly even a few months, to get back to what they were last year when we had the decent rains. It was sort of around, not last year, the beginning of this year, February, March. So it will take them a little bit of a while, but they'll get there eventually. So just keep your fingers crossed that we keep getting these little downpours that we're seeing every now and then we'll be fine. Like I say, if we can get 20 mils one week, 20 mils the next week, 10 mils here, just to get a good layer of vegetation on the ground, that'll be fantastic. And I know that the animals will be so appreciative. And like I said, those temporal glands are slowly starting to dry up, so they're not as stressed as what they were. And like I said, it's my opinion, of course. I think it was because of all the lack of vegetation. Now that it's come back, there's no need to stress so much. But they're moving quite far off into the distance. See if we can get another little gap through the thicket. But elephants are so tough and so resilient. I think that they are the masters of drought. As much as they take a real beating when there's not a lot of food around, they always seem to make it through and push through. Digging for those bulbs, digging for water like we saw yesterday if you were watching Steph, how we managed to find a little well that an elephant had dug out. They're have incredible talent to adapt to their surroundings and make the best of any condition. You can see that little one now struggling a little bit, but getting a few of the leaves off. Here we go. You're doing a fantastic job. Keep plucking away. You can see this Ellie seems to have moved away from Mom quite a bit. It's getting a little bit of independence. Some of them are braver than others. I always find they think that they're the most brave when they're about 6 months old. They're not worried if Mom moves off in the distance. There we go. Not getting too far away though. Now moving closer to Mom. And this little one will still be suckling occasionally, not very often anymore, predominantly feeding on all the vegetation, learning from Mom, stealing Mom's bits that she drops and that she doesn't want anymore. And then, of course, when she stands still for long enough, I'm sure he'll reach in and have a little drink. Right, but they're about to disappear in the distance, and I think we're going to continue our search for Thandi. We're going to check cheetah cutline very carefully. So let's carry on doing that. And I did see quite a few antelope up ahead, and checking that jig is nice and warm while we continue the search and check if we've got any tracks coming across. Let's go back to James with the Nkuhumas.
There is high action here, everybody. That male lion has lifted his head up and is now cleaning himself. Brian and I have been almost completely unable to contain ourselves.
It's so exciting.
We're not going to be here for very long, everyone. I think we'll just spend a bit of time here and then we'll press on, see what else we can find. Just not the greatest position in the world, and these lions, well, you can see they're not doing a great deal. Oh, super zoom, very nice, Brian. What can you see there? Ooh, a great collection of ticks.
It's horrible.
Wonderful. I'm just going to quickly call this sighting in on the Game Drive channel. Stations located Nkuhuma Pride south of Gowrie Dam in the drainage line. Animals are static. What that will result in, everyone, is 3 or 4 people saying, "What have you got there? What have you got there?" Oh, very nice. He's chewing his foot now. Hello, James Richard. You've asked a question that is impossible to answer because I didn't actually hear the disease. Can you say the disease again, please, Kirsten? Babisa infection caused by ticks. You say there was a lioness from the Kitchwa Tembo Pride in the area where we were up in the Mara, and do I know of any lionesses that have died of tick-borne diseases here? James Richard, I don't know of any lionesses that have died of tick-borne diseases here. That's not to say that they haven't died of tick-borne diseases. It's simply that, if a lioness dies, we almost never get the results of the autopsies. And normally, most of the parasites here, the animals can cope with. Even if it does shorten their lives slightly, they can normally cope with them pretty well. So that's interesting. Thank you very much. That's Babisa disease, I believe. Maybe Babisa. That would be nice to know the spelling. But interesting stuff. Thank you for that, James. I don't... Babisia. Babisia. That is interesting. I've never heard of it. Did you see that, Brian? That lioness lifted her head and looked at us.
I know.
Woo! Oh, and then she twitched again. We missed it.
Oh, sorry. Look.
Oh, good grief. There was a cub lifting its head with what looks to be fairly mangy ears. That is worrying to me, I must say. I need to go and do some reading up on mange. There seem to be lots of different kinds of mange, but the one you've got to worry about is the Sarco something mange. Well, Lael, you're in Washington and saying, can the mange be transferred between the prides by the males? Well, I think that's exactly what's happened, Lael. I think that's that Birmingham boy brought it in. He was very badly affected. Remember, he lost all the hair on his belly at one stage. I'm pretty sure that he's the one who brought the mange into the prides. The Styx prides definitely struggled horribly with it, and clearly, well, they hardly survived at all. And I think that through them, perhaps one of the males has been reinfected, and he then has infected the little ones here. So absolutely, that's exactly how it happens. Oh, there's some sleepy lion. In the background, a cuckoo, everyone, the African cuckoo. Boop, 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 boop. And so while we were very sort of very smugly almost saying, well, look at the Styx Pride down there. They're not doing so well. We referred to them as street children, which wasn't very nice of us, of course. And then, 6 of them have died. And we were saying how the Nkuhumas were doing so very well and how they were uptown lions. It's early days, and that mange seems to be rather insidious. It takes a very slow, steady time to infect the lions. And as it does so, they lose their hair, but just from scratching, I think, from the incredible itch that they feel. You can hear lots of birds calling around there. All right, everyone, I think we might pop back here a little bit later. But in the meantime, let's carry on. These lions ain't doing nothing right now. So let's go and see if we can't find the mighty queen. Maybe she's decided to pop back to this side of the world. If she hasn't, well, we'll come back here and just have a look at them a bit later. Now, everybody, sit very still where you are, because we have to get very close to the lions to get past them. As you can see, they don't want to be disturbed at all. They're desperately nervous about life. Hello, Robert. Was it Robert E or Robin B? Hello, Robin B. You know what? I'm actually just going to stop here. They're so relaxed that it's probably okay for us to stop right here. So I'm just going to talk a little bit more quietly. Robin B, you want to know what happens to the ticks once they fall off, engorged? I think what you'll find, Robin B, is that they lay eggs immediately, and then they quite possibly die. So those rather engorged ticks there will in all likelihood fall off fairly soon. They'll lay their eggs and they'll die there, and I think they're on that patch of skin there, because it wouldn't surprise me if that patch of skin was in fact mangy. Which means that obviously it's exposed, there's no hair on it, and that's probably why they're on it, and I think that's probably also why it's discoloured. There you can see the light just beginning to catch him now as he licks his feet with those vast teeth. And I don't think that that's a coincidence either. I think it could easily be a function of the sort of skin infections that this pride has now sort of seemed to be falling prey to. The sun is now hitting me on my left-hand side. It feels very nice indeed. It was the most unsummery weather we had this morning. Isn't that gorgeous light now? Even though these things are still fast asleep, we'll give them 5 more minutes. Given that it looks like some of them are starting to wake up slightly, making an effort for TV. They don't seem to be too impressed by the fact that they're alive, do they, Brian? No. No. Now, I've got no idea how many are here. I mean, I'm sure they all must be here. The male's head is up. That's interesting, Jono. You say with the increased pond levels, in other words, the water, the standing water, would the mange be reduced because they're able to bath? No, John, I don't think it would. I don't think that the water would necessarily help at all. There's certainly been sufficient water around during the dry season for them to have got into water if they'd wanted to, if it would have helped them. You know, there are many pumped pans all over the place here. And they could very easily have got into a pumped pan at some stage if that was going to be a relief to the mange. So, no, Jono, I don't think the water's going to make any difference at all. He smelled something there, but he's too lazy to actually get up and find out what it is. Oh, there we are, as I say that. Sorry to cast dispersions on you, old fellow. A couple of cubs getting active now. He's a magnificent fellow, isn't he? Giving Brian the evil eye. Like I say, we are quite close to them, so if he does start to look vaguely uncomfortable, we'll move. Oh, he's got a bit of a limp.
This is not the same Birmingham that was with him yesterday.
This is not the same?
No.
Oh, that's interesting. Do you hear that, everybody? Brian says this is not the same lion that was with them yesterday. What's the difference, Brian?
The other one has the hole in his face.
And the other one's got that very obvious hole in his face. That's quite interesting. Thank you for that, Brian. Would you like to say anything else? Any other gems of information you'd like to share?
No, not right now.
Not right now.
No.
Okay.
I
Well,
can't unload all the gems.
no, you can't unload all the gems all at once.
No.
It's a good point. Wouldn't want you to strain yourself. No. But it is interesting. So where's the other one gone? All right, we're going to sit here for a little bit longer, see if they look like they might get a little bit active. Taylor is with some equids. They will unquestionably be doing more for these lions.
We are watching some zebra as their bums disappear into the trees. There's only 3 of them. I only think I saw 3. It's just a small little group. It looks like some stallions. And you seem to be seeing lots and lots of groups of stallions at the moment. And we've got another one who's sort of coming out of the bushes for us, which is quite nice. Now, a question that we are often asked is, why hasn't anybody domesticated zebra? And just in case you were wondering this morning, I'm going to answer it anyway. And they are the cheekiest animal I've ever come across. I don't think they enjoy being domesticated. They kick and bite 100 times worse than what a pony would. And also their backs aren't as strong as that of a horse. So I don't think they were very useful, sort of like horses and donkeys as weight carriers. However, I do know that in 1907 there was a doctor, the first doctor of Nairobi in Kenya, Rosenda Ribeiro, and he used to ride a zebra to house calls back and forth every single day, which must have been quite funny, as I'm sure he would have had a big leather case of some sort with all his doctor-like equipment, his stethoscope and all the other goodies, and off him and his zebra would go off into the distance. I thought that was quite nice, but other than that, there's only a few other mentions of zebras being used, pulling the odd cart here and there, but I don't think that they were too successful, because all of these seem to have happened in sort of the 1900s, and then that's where it stops. Oh, and of course, I'm sure you've seen that movie Racing Stripes, and how they race that around. Well, I don't think that's too accurate. I don't know if a zebra could outrun a thoroughbred, which is, of course, built for speed. There's another one walking in the distance. All got their heads straight on the ground, and I dare not say it again, eating all those lovely green grass shoots. It's lovely. It's sort of like us back at camp on a Wednesday afternoon when the shopping order comes through. That's today, new supplies. Everybody goes crazy, eats all the chocolate and eats everything, and then there's nothing left. And then we're just having dry bread. No, I'm just joking, of course. We fed very well at the TRC. Now, we've checked Cheetah Cut Line, well, most of it, and I don't see any tracks coming back. And then I had an epiphany. And I thought that it's such a beautiful day. There's yet to be a breath of wind that's come through. So I suggested to Jean-Andre, why don't we go across to Cheetah Plains and have a look on those beautiful big open plains and see what it's like. I think it would be quite nice. I haven't been there. Normally when I do go there, it's always gale force winds. So it'd be quite nice to try and go and see what it's like on a peaceful day and see if Norman the Gnu is around to say hello. I think that'll be a good idea. And of course, we're always looking for ostriches and we're always looking for cheetah. But I think that's what our plan is going to be next. So I need to turn around. We're going to go back around down Cheetah Cut Line, seeing as it's the quickest way. So let's start the reversing process. Hi zebra, thank you. Have a lovely day. Here we go. And we'll try and get around as quick as we can. Yeah, and hopefully I'll actually make it to the plains this time. The last time I went to Cheetah Plains, I got stuck in a roadblock with elephants and then spent about, how long with them? Probably about an hour and a half with the elephants and never made it to the plains because it got too dark. We've got so much happening, squeaky brakes. We've got a Senegal lapwing. Okay, I'm just trying to get it in the gap. You see it there? Well, there were quite a few of them that were flying and they seem very upset. Perhaps they're a little bit upset with me. They're making a bit of a call. I don't know if you can hear them. And now you can see this one racing away. They are ground dwelling birds, so there is some chance that there may be a nest on the ground. And you hear them and see them calling, and you keep quiet. And they seem to be all around us. They're quite gregarious, so they live in big groups. And I suspect that we are being told, don't come any closer. I've got eggs here. This one actually looks like it's maybe trying to lure me away because it landed right next to Jigger. So maybe there is a nest nearby. Normally when they do this though, they will pretend that... Ooh. I can hear the lions roaring. It's very far away though. But they're a calling. So I'm not sure what's happening there, but I'll leave that to James to try and find out. That was quite nice behavior by the Senegal lapwing. Sorry, what I was trying to say is that normally when they try and lure us away, the ground-dwelling birds, they pretend that they've got a broken wing and sort of dangle it down to the ground. And if I was a jackal or a serval or some small predator, then I'd be quite excited by that because I'd stop looking for the eggs and I'd go, oh, well, that bird's got a little bit more sustenance in it. I'll go for you. And I don't know if you've ever had the opportunity, to see a jackal, especially jackals, they're quite funny, following those birds around. There's another one, just flew off. And they lure those jackals far away, quite a few hundred meters. And then the next minute, then they just pop their wing back in again and fly off. And you see that a very sort of not a nice look on the jackal's face, that he'd been played. But it actually, I'm quite happy that we're going back down here because we're going to cross the area where Tundi was last seen yesterday. Maybe she's popped back again. I haven't heard anything on the radio just yet, but we'll have a little look-see when we go past. Right. We're also going to go back past the Bateleur. Maybe the Bateleur is still sitting in the tree. So it's warmed up really nicely now. We're going to stop complaining about the cold. Even as we're moving, it's not so chilly anymore. It's amazing, the power of the sun and how it's able to warm us up. And we've got some turtle doves on the road. Let's see if we... No, don't fly. Let's pull off like this. And you can see the turtle doves. Sorry, I'm askew again. And it's just pulled off the road slightly. Can you see them there? Now watch how this turtle dove walks. It cannot at all walk in a straight line. It's impossible for these birds to walk in a straight line. And I'm going to show you what their tracks look like. See there? Zigzagging like a drunk person. Going from one side of the road, into the other side of the road. And it's the easiest track to identify in the bush once you realize their walking pattern. And there's a lovely little couple that we're watching out for breakfast and a morning walk. And that's something that I know that I'm definitely going to be looking for over the next few weeks, is nests. And hopefully we're going to start to see a few eggs and then a few chicks and then a few fledglings. Which will be a nice little process to try and follow. I know Mr. and Mrs. Wahlberg have been working hard. I haven't seen any eggs though. I'm not sure if they even have chicks yet. It's quite difficult to obviously see inside that nest. Right, let's go. I want to show you their tracks. The turtle dove's tracks. No, why? Yes. I keep forgetting. I feel bad because I turn jigger and I don't turn jigger for long enough, and then it gets cross and then switches off. I don't know. Genre, is jigger a girl or a boy? I don't even know. Sorry, all cars are girls. I didn't know this. I see I learn every day. Turtle doves, where are your tracks? Can you see their footprints? Or is it a bit further? Oh, here they are. Hang on. Can you see them? All going in and have a look at them now. Can you see them there? Those funny, looks like little 3 forks in the ground. Now, see how that track, it's just impossible. They cannot walk in a straight line. Now you know, if you see a track that sort of serpentines, it's a very gradual sort of serpentine though. You can see that. Then you know it's a dove of some sort. And, well, the dove that we see the most out here, and of that size, of course, would be a turtle dove. No, you could get a little bit confused with a red-eyed dove. Now, just chatting about the strange technique of walking in a sort of serpentine pattern. I know Debbie was wondering if there's any advantage to them walking like that. Maybe Debbie. I suppose by them walking like this, they're feeding, I think, more effectively, I suppose. They're not just walking in a straight line and missing whatever is around them, because they're mainly feeding on seeds and things like that. So I think by bobbing and sort of weaving as they go along, they're feeding on a much wider area. I'm not actually even sure. I'll have to do a bit of research. I've never come across any information though about the effectiveness or what role the way that a dove walks plays in their life. I'll ask Mr. James Hendry or Steph. Perhaps they'll have a little bit more insight. Otherwise, I will resort to looking through a book and see if they say anything like that. It's quite an interesting one. And that's what I enjoy every day, chatting to all of you back at home watching this, is that while you're sitting there, you are all able to... Oh, sorry, hang on. I'm just trying to... Got so much chatting going on. Let me turn this radio down. Sorry, I'll get back to what I was commenting on. But my favorite thing is that you are all asking different questions. Everyone's brain works so differently, and we all think of different things or different ways to ask questions. So I really, really love that. I definitely find since I've been working here, I've been getting a lot more unique questions that I've never been asked before. So thank you for all of those tricky questions that come through. It's really great. It's nice to get your brain working. And I know that there's another Debbie on that is watching us this morning. Good morning, the other Debbie. I hope you're enjoying watching so far. And Debbie wants to know, is there any difference between a male and a female turtle dove? No, not really. They're pretty much exactly the same. So you're going to land, no? Yeah, size, weight, spot on. So it's very, very difficult. I've got some more birds. We're having a birding morning. We've got white-crested helmet shrike. No! My squeaky brakes. I don't know if you saw them flying. Oh, there, they're right up on top of that tree. Can you see them up top there?
Yeah.
There we go. We've got one. Let's hope it stays still. You can see in the middle of your screen. There it is, hiding its head away. We've got white-crested helmet shrikes. Also pretty noisy birds. Though this one seems to be sitting quietly, again enjoying the morning sun as they ruffle their feathers and give themselves a good groom and preen themselves. They're very, very chatty birds. Normally always squeaking, chatting as they fly. Got a very gurgly call. I don't know if I can do it very well. It's quite a complex call. I didn't see either. Normally they're in big groups, but I only saw about 2 or 3. Actually, I can only see 2. I don't know where the rest of your friends are at. You can see they're reaching back a lot. Often they have these preening glands sort of at the base of their tail. Oh, got a fright and off they go. And we particularly see it quite often with ducks and the water birds. They obviously need to waterproof their coats. Their preen gland is much larger and is secreting a lot more of the oils. And then they will take that and sort of run it through their feathers quite nicely, which then offers that waterproofing. And something that I haven't seen for ages. I'm trying to remember when I last saw it, and I don't know if any of you watching have ever seen. Have you ever seen a bird anting before? Like anting, like the little insects, ants? It's quite amazing. You get 2 different types of anting, and it's a way that the birds will actually help clean themselves. So you get active and passive anting. Now, passive anting is, maybe now that I'm going to tell you about this, possibly you've seen a bird. Have you ever found a bird that's been completely dazed, just sitting on the ground, not flown into a window and stunned itself, nothing like that, just sitting with its wings sort of spread out on the ground, very relaxed? Actually, I'm going to stop to tell you this because I find like I'm going to do lots and lots of hand actions, and then I feel as though I can't do them properly when I'm driving because I like to use my hands. Sorry, I keep parking in these wonderful gaps. So poor Jean-Ray is having to work extremely hard this morning. So if you've ever seen a bird sort of laying out like this on the ground, just completely bizarre. You can walk right up almost next to it and it doesn't fly away, and it goes into a trance. And like I said, there's 2 types of anting, active and passive, where the passive, the bird will just lay there and the ants will crawl up onto the wings all on its own, and then they remove any sort of debris, so any dead parasites, any of the bits of skin that have come off. They remove all of that, and some of the ants even have a type of a formic acid, and they believe that formic acid can actually help keep the wings nice and clean and treat them. Now, the other type of anting that you get is the active, where the birds will actually pick up very gently the little ants and place them specifically on parts of their body, and then they do the job. And I think by picking up an ant, the ant is also going to panic, and that probably encourages them to release the formic acid. So I think the formic acid, they're probably releasing it a lot more is when they're actively picking up and placing it on and disturbing the ant slightly, but then they realize, okay, no problem, just here to do a little service. So that's quite nice. So next time you do see a bird sitting down on the ground, it's in a trance, don't panic. It could just be having a grooming session from the ants. It's quite nice to see. Right, we're going to still make our way towards Cheetah Plains. We've got a little bit of a way to go. Though, Chandra, I feel as though we should have brought some coffee with us this morning, some rusks or crunchies or some sort of a biscuit, and we could have had a nice little breakfast, a little tea, out on the plains. Wouldn't that have been nice? Next time we'll remember. Jean-Andre's freezing still though. He's got stuff right up into his... I just can see his eyes. If I didn't see who jumped on board with me today, I wouldn't be able to tell you who it was. Right. Oh, we've got hornbills. Hi, hornbill. You don't fly. No? Yes, of course. Typical. It's flown. Perhaps you can see the silhouette. It's quite... Oh, that's very nice, actually. Here you can see the silhouette of a yellow-billed hornbill. Where's your partner? No partner today. Oh, but I've got a worm. There we go, having breakfast. That's a lovely little caterpillar that one has picked up. Now, I couldn't tell you what type of caterpillar that is. There we go, delicious. And that's what we're seeing too. is now that we had a bit of rain, I've been finding a lot of empty cocoons. I mean, lots of empty eggshells on the underside of leaves from the variety of little worms and caterpillars that are coming about. And it's perfect timing because there's lots of obviously green leaves for them to feed on. And then soon we're going to see them either turning into butterflies or moths. Oh, and speaking about birds and bird lists, I saw a new bird the other day. Oh, look, another one. This tree is full of them. So I was telling you, I saw a melanistic gabar goshawk, which is quite exciting. So that was a new bird for my list. Oh, this is fascinating. So I'm just trying to think exactly of what caterpillars could possibly be on this marula tree. I wonder if it's not maybe something like the larvae of a lunar moth. Oh, I can't even remember what caterpillars like to feed on a marula tree. I'll have to go back and have a look today. But this hornbill is taking full advantage of the buffet that the tree is providing. And in some African country, well, most of the time it's in the northern African countries, not quite South Africa anymore, that worms, caterpillars, grubs actually make up almost 90% of the diet of some people. How amazing is that? And I read the other day that about 100 grams of larvae, so particularly from caterpillars and moths, from moths and butterflies, only 100 grams, which is not too much, that's a fair amount, will actually give you enough nutrients for a day. So the daily requirements that you need of magnesium, calcium, zinc, you name it. It's perfect. How amazing is that? So you should always eat caterpillars and worms and grubs. They're good for you. Now, as we carry on and make our way towards Cheetah Plains, let's go back over to Mr. Henry and see how his morning is going.
I have to tell you, everybody, my morning has become deeply, deeply relaxed. The sun is shining on the left of my face. Brian's back is warming up. He's looking all smiley at the moment. The lions have got up a little bit. Well, one or two of them have, but the male has been providing us with some amazing looks. He keeps lifting his head and looking at Brian, then kind of sleeping again, and then he lifts his head and looks very regally into the sun before doing what he's doing now, which is, of course, sleep. We're going to sit here for another 5 minutes, and then we're going to press on and see if we can't find something else. But the light was just too gorgeous, the feeling of the sun on our backs too wonderful for us to move just yet. And in the background you can hear a chagra calling, black-crowned chagra. Anna-Marie, you're wondering about the mange again and what would help it, what would take it away. Would perhaps some sunlight, direct sunlight, do it? I think these cats get a huge amount of direct sunlight. And so, no, I'm going to say no, I don't think direct sunlight would help them necessarily, but it might. I think it's mainly going to be their nutritional status and how healthy they are, and that will determine whether or not their immune systems are able to cope with it and fight it off. Because no question, that one Birmingham boy who had it, and I'm not sure which one it was actually, that one Birmingham boy who had the mange, he got rid of it. And so clearly he was eating sufficiently, there were no nutrients missing in his body, and his system got rid of the disease. But as we all know, with just about all diseases, young and very old are the ones that fall victim most often to diseases. And here we've got some very young cubs, and you know, the jury's out as to whether they could cope with a full-blown mange infection in the same way that an adult might be able to. And if I'm not mistaken, I mean, they're pretty much the same age, if not younger than those Styx cubs. In fact, they are slightly younger, especially in the case of the teddies, which are the 3 youngest. There's a little cub, I think, that is thinking about playing with Dad. Look at that. Oh, that's my favourite. I love watching male lions with cubs. Isn't that cool? Kenneth, you want to know if we ever interfere with the cubs in a disease like this? Kenneth, we don't. That said, there was talk of an intervention here. And that talk, I think, was born of the fact that, there's been quite a lot of death as a result of this mange. And that's really not ideal for tourism. It's not necessarily good for conservation either. But, as far as I understand it, in order to get rid of it, you've got to treat them 5 or 6 times. I don't think you can just treat it once. And so, we're at a question of one quick application of some kind of medicine, either through a dart or either darting them and then washing them. I think then probably the discussion would be much more seriously had. Look at that little foot. But because I don't think it can be treated like that, I think it has to be treated on a regular basis for a number of weeks. I think that the chances of the Sabi Sand and the authorities generally in this area deciding that it's a good idea to intervene, I think there's a very small chance. Hello, Sylvia. You say this is the split lip male lion. Thank you for that, Sylvia. And Sylvia, that's great stuff, because what we are going to tell you about fairly soon, and I think Brent and Jamie will probably tell you about it at the fireside chat on Sunday, is that we're going to be naming these Birmingham boys, and we're going to give them some official names, and then we won't, refer to them as 1, 2, 3, and 4. Obviously, as we've always said, it makes no difference to Birmingham boy 1, 2, 3, or 4 whether they're called George, Philip, Morgazi, or Brian, for that matter. But for us, I think it would be quite nice to give them names, and certainly I think what's kind of inspired it is the fact that those names, or the names that those chaps had in the Mara, those 4 male lions, they had lovely names, and so I think it's time we gave our well-established Birmingham boys some names by which we and everyone else in the world can appreciate them, if you like. And the interesting thing about it is, now I come from a school of thought where it's a very science-based sort of background, where we don't talk about naming animals. We call them male 1 and male 2 and male 3 and male 4. And certainly that's what the scientists say, and the scientists say, you shouldn't be naming them because, it's not very scientific, and it kind of cheapens them and makes them less wild. And I have come around completely to the school of thought that says that that's rubbish. And what galvanized it for me, of course, was the saga and terrible, sad story of Cecil the lion, about which many of you know. And the big thing about Cecil, of course, was that if Cecil hadn't had a name, well, he wouldn't have been nearly as popular. He wouldn't have, his fate would not have captured the imagination of the world like it did. And in so doing, lion conservation would have been done a great disservice. And so we are now of the firm opinion that our lions should have names, and we should give them characteristics, and the anthropomorphization, which is a lovely big word for this time of the morning, which is basically attributing human characteristics to animals, which may or may not be true, but by doing that, it provides us with a connection to these animals that we wouldn't have otherwise. And so I think at the fireside chat on Sunday or so, somewhere around then, there will be a, not naming ceremony, but we'll give them official names that we can know them by. And just in case you're feeling a little bit left out, most of the names will be from the names that we've come to know them by on Safari Live. This was the male that had the mange on his stomach. Look at that. But we're not going to get in too much of a debate about it, everyone, because, of course, there are lots and lots of viewers, thousands of viewers, all of whom will have a different a different opinion. So we'll give them names based on the ones basically that you've all come up with, and that's what we'll stick them as. So I think this was the fellow that's recovered from mange. He's probably the reason, unfortunately, that there's mange in the area, which isn't very good of him. All right, we're going to sit here. I see the cubs are getting a little bit more active, so we'll spend a bit more time here. Let's head across to Taylor, who's got morning bacon.
Morning bacon. That sounds delicious. Now, we do have a male warthog, and unfortunately he's not looking too good. He's definitely fallen victim to the effects of the drought. He's quite thin. However, you can see he's very happy now. He's on his knees and he's munching away at all the grass, and I suspect that's why he's not too bothered by us, is because there's lots of nice grass around here, and at the moment the only thing that he's interested in is eating and putting on condition again. And in my opinion, I think that the warthogs suffer quite severely, unfortunately, in the droughts. And I think, if not, I think probably the worst, more so than buffalo and hippos and elephant. Jean and I were just chatting, and we said that we never ever get to see warthogs standing still. Normally they're racing off with their tails in the air, and you're just catching a quick glimpse of them. And I said to him that I've found, since I've been in the sands, that normally in the drier months we see these young warthog males, and they tend to be quite relaxed, but it's normally just after we've had a little bit of rain and they're desperately looking for food. Because remember, when there isn't very much food around and they spend their time running away from things, they're using valuable energy. So I think they become a little bit more complacent just because they have to. And if they race off all the time, eventually they're going to burn away and start eating into their fat resources, and obviously they don't want to do that. Well, not too much. Very happy munching away. And one of my favorite things to see is watching warthogs eat marula fruits. It's quite hysterical how they all race around at the base of the trees looking for every last little marula fruit that they can find. Now, we're still en route to Cheetah Plains. We'll go up a little bit further. Let's see how this warthog relaxes. Or reacts. Hopefully it relaxes. Doesn't seem too concerned just yet. Hasn't even lifted up his head to look at us. Hi, Warty. No, still no luck on Tundi. I suspect that she's maybe gone back into Torchwood. There we go. So we just want to have a little look. I'm going to carry on going slowly past him, and then I'll try and get ahead of him. So you don't have to run. Don't mind us. We don't want to eat you. Even though James said bacon, he was just joking. Don't take him too seriously. There you go. Now you can see he's quite small. So he seems to be quite a young warthog. I don't think more than about 2 or 3 years old, maybe not even quite 3 years old. You can see the tusks are not too big. They're coming back towards us. Hello. And a big male warthog can weigh up to about 80 kilograms. I've seen one that was quite big, larger than some humans that I know. But that warthog, I think, was quite old and an exception. Normally, only a big male will get to about anywhere between 50 and 60 kilograms. Very happy. Now go back to where you were. There was lots of nice green grass there. And remember, we are live, and I'd love to hear from you, and so would our friend the warthog. So if you've got any questions for myself or James this morning, you're welcome to either hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or you can comment on the YouTube section, or you can send us an email, questions@wildearth.tv. And if you do that, you can chat to us. If not, enjoy. And I'll just chat to you. He's very relaxed now. He's decided not to go back down onto his knees again. And I just don't think there's enough grass around here. He's having to travel quite long distances now between the patches of grass, as you can see. And hopefully over the next few weeks he'll put on a bit of condition and make it through this tough time. Though he's quite vulnerable out here on his own. Especially if Tundi is lurking around in the area. This would make a scrumptious meal. One thing we don't see often, I haven't seen too many of the leopards here eating warthogs. I know in the south that was on their menu all the time. We often used to see the big male leopards patrolling and looking into the burrows, into the termite mounds, hoping to find a warthog. But let's carry on up ahead. And I'm also just checking for any tracks that possibly coming in and out. Always got to keep an eye out for footprints. Sorry, warthog, we're coming through. You see he's still there. Not particularly bothered. No. There's an attempt to pop his tail in the air, but not quite. Let's have one more look at him before we say goodbye to him. There he is. He's nice and brown. Obviously yesterday he must have had a little dust bath. Very nice. Now, if you go further into the bushes, Mr. Warthog, you'll find that there's lots of lovely grass. However, you will be taking a bit of a gamble, though. The eyesight's not too great, unfortunately. They do rely on their sense of smell, which is acute, very, very good. And, of course, those little ears, they don't do a bad job either. Now, as we watch this warthog disappear off into the shade, have a nice day. Let's go see if those nkuhumas have woken up yet.
Now, here we are, everybody. We're still here, and the rather amazing scene of the smell lion trying to get rid of his ticks is assailing us. And he's got lots and lots of horrid-looking ticks there on his back. And again, those ticks can provide some kinds of diseases, as James Richard pointed out to us, but very few of them will make a difference to the animals here. And it sparked a memory in me, so thank you for that, James, about how it is that animals have evolved out here. And one of the major drivers of animal evolution and their one of the major drivers of strategy to picking mates is getting over these parasites, and the obvious ones are ticks, of course. But then you do get the mites. They are parasites and parasitoids. They're the ones that cause things like sarcoptic mange, which these chaps have, or some of them have. And getting over those diseases and the constant attacks from parasites and parasitoids and viruses and bacteria, well, you've got to have a very strong immune system to do that. And the best way to maintain a strong immune system within a population is wide genetic diversity. And it's one of the crucial things, apparently, that drives the evolution of species, is the avoidance of disease, including our own. And apparently, if you were to count the number of parasites living in and on your body, you would be absolutely astounded, especially at the brilliant work that your immune system is doing, keeping them at bay and keeping them from taking you out. It really is incredible when you get into it to understand how many parasites and things there are all over us. Hello, Justin. What a nice question from you. Well, it's a bit disgusting, but it's a good one. You say, during my time at Safari Live, how many times have I had to pull ticks from my own body? Justin, I'm not sure. Those big ones, not very often, but often we get little black pepper ticks, and those little black pepper ticks are pretty vile, and they can cause infection. And there have been lots of those, but the big, fat, ugly ones that lions got, not many, one or two maybe, and that's because I think we find them quite early, A, and B, we also have very little hair on our bodies. And that means that they find it difficult to latch on as we walk past grass. But the very little ones, well, they manage to do it. Those little black pepper ticks. And sometimes you lie there in the night in the summer, especially after a good rainy. And remember, I've only been at Safari Live during a drought, or during a dry season and then a drought. What you find is you could, after a good rainy year, you'll lie in bed and scratch and scratch and scratch the lower parts of your legs, because the ticks will bite you there. But normally there's very little harm done. Now that's why it's called a split-lip lion, obviously. That's brilliant to know, so that's a nice identifier. With his tooth, and that's a scar, that's a fighting scar, probably from a kill. All right, Brian, what do you say? Shall we move on? We've been saying we're going to move on now for at least an hour, but it's been so very comfortable sitting here in the sun. But I think now is the time, Brian, for if we are going to perhaps give ourselves a little bit of a chance of finding the Queen, it's possibly time to do that now. Now, everybody, sit very still. We're going to start the car. So I said we're very close. You can see the lions are deeply panicked by our presence here, aren't they, Brian? Now, absolutely terrified. Here we go. Goodbye. Go back to sleep, lazy lump. Right, let's see if we can get out of here. Some people there, up on the dam wall, watching the lions, wondering how it is that we were so close to them. Well, we're in a very little car, you see. Ooh. It's a bit of a stick. I see that much of the mess that the elephants have made is starting to kind of rot almost, and it's kind of disappearing down into the dirt. This is not good. This is not good, Brian. I might be murdered by this tree. Josh, I missed your question, sorry, I took fright at this tree. Let's have it again. Something about genetic diversity. Josh, good question. You say, do the fences around some of the parks in southern Africa make the animals prone to a loss of genetic diversity? And would that make them prone to disease? The answer is yes and no, which is a no answer at all, so I'll explain it. In a small reserve, so let's take Phinda, for example. Phinda in Natal, down south, where Brent grew up, is an interesting example. It's now about 19,000 hectares, so we'll call that an even 43,000 acres, and it's got room probably for 2 lion prides. So they have 2 lion prides there, but they're extremely careful about who mates with who and how and when, so they know exactly what's going on. As soon as a male gets to a certain age, he will be moved off to another reserve of similar size, and then maybe one of the males from that reserve would come on. So they mix the diversity around there. So that's the positive side of it. The negative side of it is these complete idiots who breed lions for hunting purposes. And there are still people like that around, if you can believe it, in 2016, and they don't really care at all. And so yes, that does make a huge difference. Then what happens is sometimes these lions get rescued, they get introduced into a population like this, and that does make a difference to the genetic diversity of lion populations. So by and large, no, the fenced reserves are not a problem. It doesn't mean that there's going to be a loss of genetic diversity as long as the reserve managers have half a brain, which most of them do. So that's the kind of answer there, Josh. But in an area like this, although the Kruger's fenced, the Greater Limpopo Transfrontier Park, 8.5 million acres or 3.5 million hectares, I mean, that's a huge space of land. And it's big enough for the population genetics to kind of sort themselves out without too much intervention from us. Right, now let's go and have a look at Mr. and Mrs. Wahlberg. They're just down the road here. Looking at the tracks of the lions and the hippo. So the hippo came down the road here, and they obviously just went sort of into the drainage line, left the hippo to his own devices. Must have been a wonderful sighting on the dam camera earlier on. Brian, it's a bit warmer.
It is.
I wouldn't describe it as toasty yet though, would you?
No.
No. Not quite toasty. I'm looking forward to finding out when Mr. and Mrs. Wahlberg have a little master or Miss Wahlberg. These, of course, are two Wahlberg's eagles, if you've just joined us. Two pale form Wahlberg's eagles that have come into this area. Well, they come here every year, back to the same tree, back to the same nest. And they should be around here somewhere. There's the nest up ahead. They've got two nests in the same tree. I think they're using the upstairs this year. Let's just go a little bit closer, turn off. They don't always sit in the nest. You see one up there, Brian?
Not currently, no.
I don't believe I can either, but there might be one on an eggie. Let's have a look. I see not any sign of a Wahlbees eagle. Yes, I can. There's one in there. I just saw some movement. It's not a little one, is it, Brian?
I don't know.
Shall I climb up and find out?
Yeah, might as well.
Yeah. I am joking, everybody. I'm not about to climb into that knob thorn tree. A little bit forward. Let's see if we can't get a slightly better view. There's an adult in there. I'd been surprised if there was already a youngster. Let me just check the days again. So we watched them mating not too long ago. When was it? It was probably about 3 weeks ago that we watched them mating. 3 or 4 weeks. I'm going to say 3 weeks. So let me just quickly look and see what the incubation time is. I'm afraid I'm unable to sufficiently remember. There we go. Tap, tap. Tap, tap. Now, what it says is, it's calling a little bit there. Tip, 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 tip. Eggs. Laying dates August to January. We know that, of course. 2 egg clutches. That's very seldom. It's normally 1. And I just want to quickly check. The incubation period is 46 days, so just over a month. About 6 weeks or so. Is that right? 6 weeks? 30? No, it's about 7 weeks. No, about 6 weeks. Sorry, my brain is... It's exactly 6 weeks. So 6 weeks from 4 weeks ago, or from 3 weeks ago, should be... yeah, I mean, we should have a baby in about 4 weeks' time, everybody. I imagine it takes almost a week for the egg to be laid after mating, and we watched them mating just around here. That's most likely the female on the egg. The male will be around hunting. He does share the duties, but normally he's bringing home the bacon, as it were. Not a very modern family, are they, Brian?
No.
No, not at all. Good. Right, on we go. Hello, Vulpine Wolf Girl. You want to know if we ever consider putting a trail camera or nest cam like we have over at the dam camera there in front of one of these nests? We have. Problem is that you need to have quite a lot of power, and that can be done with solar. That's not difficult, of course. But you also then, if you want to broadcast it live, you've got to have some kind of wireless connection or a wired connection, but a wireless connection, which is also imminently doable, but to maintain that with power is quite difficult. And because we'd almost certainly disturb that nest, we've decided not to go with it. But I've got to tell you, I mean, it's not a bad idea. Eventually, once we've sorted ourselves out with sufficient power and we've got decent solar cells, it might be worth putting one up in that tree while the Wahlbergs are away. So in winter time, we'd put it up there, wait for them to come, and as long as we could remotely turn it on, then yeah, it would be a good idea. We've thought about it. I think the disadvantages at the moment outweigh the advantages. Okay, we're going to head down towards Treehouse Dam, see if we can't pick up some sign of the Queen. Let's find out what Taylor is doing on Cheetah Plains.
We are currently birding. As you can see, we've found a pair of yellow-billed hornbills, and we have arrived safely at Cheetah Plains. We are now on 3 in a Pan Road. And there are lots of elephants around as well. So after these hornbills, we're going to go and find the elephants that I can hear crashing through all the trees this morning. Elephant day today. Elephants and birds for Jandre and I. You can see this is definitely the male. He's much larger than the female, and that beak is quite a bit more robust. I don't know if you can see the female as nicely as the male. She's sitting up on top of the... We got here the African wattle. You can see her. She's camouflaged at the moment, but you should be able to see her moving around. But the male, of course, he's posing quite nicely also. We're just watching birds groom themselves over the past few days. That's all I've been seeing them doing. There you go. You get a little parasite that you didn't need in there. Well, it must be quite difficult to be able to use that beak quite well with some precision, and I quite like the way that James described it as a traffic cone beacon on the top of your face. I don't think I'd be able to use it very well at all. I'd be very clumsy. But look at them. They're able to pick and remove little parasites or old feathers that don't need to be there anymore. Able to do all those amazing things. Now, they were calling just now and doing a little dance. I'm hoping, that's why I decided to look at them. I was hoping that they were going to do it again. All right, there was a little bit of chatting going on. Not too much now. That's quite nice. Now, of course, because we've come here, the wind has picked up. No. Good morning, Fran. Fran wants to know what migrant bird am I most excited about seeing. Now, my one that I was really excited about seeing is actually already arrived. The yellow-billed kites. We didn't see too many down on the south, so last year I think I only saw about 2. And I've been seeing them flying all ahead at the moment. So I'm really, really enjoying the yellow-billed kites. They're one of my favorite birds down in the Eastern Cape, so the southeast coast of South Africa. They were quite prolific there. So I'm happy to see that they are here and they are back. And actually the last time I saw them, they were flying around Cheetah Plains. So I've got my eyes open and wide, waiting to spot the big fork in the tail as they soar along the sky. Right, let's go and find the elephants. I can see a few of the big grey things up ahead. Bye, hornbills. Thank you. I don't know why I'm saying goodbye to all the animals today. Feels like I haven't driven in ages. Oh, there's lots of elephants. I can see little babies again. Always good. Well, let's go up towards them. Now, don't go into the bushes. We can go straight, eh? Just checking that I don't go and drive into somebody else's property. It wouldn't be too popular then. So then, just around the corner. Not. Let's see. I can see lots of bums. They're going through the thick vegetation now. Don't do that. Come back. We're just going to see little glimpses of the elephants. See those big grey objects moving or powering through all the trees. Oh no! Something happened. No, I think I'm mute. Can you hear me now? No? Am I not back again? Oh no, that's not good.
There we go.
Hello? Hello? Can you hear me? Kirsty, I'm talking to you. Jean-Andre says I'm back, so I think I'm back. Oh, we've got elephants in front of the road. Look at that. Look at them over there crossing and being quite sneaky. Very. And they're gone again. Okay, well, let's go forward. Perhaps there's some more. I'm just trying to get my microphone, my mic back. Right. While I try and figure out what's going on with my audio, let's go back to James.
We're with some elephants, everybody. Over there is an elephant. There are a number of other elephants in front of us, but this one is the one coming closest towards us, probably a young bull. And they seem to be all over this area. Oh, there's a lovely relaxed atmosphere about the place. Let's enjoy this fellow. See what he has to say to us. What do you think he wants to say to you, Brian?
Good morning.
Good morning. I think that's exactly what he wants to say. Good morning. I love how these young bulls are so inquisitive. Come and say hello properly. Come and greet us fondly. That's it. No, he says, you make me nervous. Just going about their days on this winter/summer morning. Now he's hiding behind a tree. Justin, you want to know how long it takes a single blade of grass to pass through an elephant's digestive system? I don't know, Justin. I'm going to say probably very long intestinal system. Bit of a fermenting in the hind gut there. Justin, I'm going to say about 5 hours. I don't think much longer than that. 5 hours or so before those leadwood branches that elephant is eating eventually pass 40% undigested down out of the elephant's bottom. Very nice, Brian. Pedicure. Pedi shot. I always like the pedi shot. It's a good pedi shot, that one. Very nice light on the nails, which are in superb condition. Obviously looks after himself. He's a metrosexual young male. His masculine pedicures. I'm going to move forward. There are lots of elephants all over here. Three more in front of us, 4 more in front of us, a whole lot more to the right-hand side. So I'll just stop here. We'll have another look at our new friend. All the time, although I'm being quite sort of light-hearted about it, if you're ever in the Kruger and find yourself driving around, please always be very aware of elephants and make sure that you... Well, I mean, many of you will have learnt a huge amount about their behaviour from watching these safaris, and not so much from the guides waffling at you, but just by watching their body language. And if you ever come and drive yourself around the Kruger, which I thoroughly recommend that you do, well, just bear those lessons in mind. You never take elephants for granted. You never just assume that they're going to be relaxed around you. He is completely relaxed, however, and enjoying his breakfast. Hello, James in Australia. You've asked a question that, again, we could talk about, probably would open up 1,000 other topics. You say, where in South Africa is elephant poaching occurring? Is it occurring in South Africa at all? And, is it a problem, and where is it a problem? James, it's not a huge problem in South Africa. And it's interesting, and of course, we've just had the CITES, this big CITES meeting about whether or not trade should be allowed in elephant products, and a huge group of people saying absolutely not. Increasing trade in these products definitely causes an increase in an upsurge in poaching, and others saying nonsense, you've got to, the sort of free marketers going, you've got to allow trade in it because that gives people an incentive to look after the animals. I'm not sure which side of the argument I sit at this stage. I've read so much about both, and I really can't say. But what I will tell you is that in Namibia and Zimbabwe and Botswana and South Africa, we've got very stable, increasing elephant populations. Up into East Africa, Tanzania and Kenya, they tend to have much more of a problem. And we think it's there that most of the elephant poaching is taking place, and probably up into West Africa as well, probably largely to do with corrupt government officials. That's not to say that we don't have corrupt government officials here. We have a very impressive collection of corrupt government officials in South Africa, but regardless, we seem to have a lot stronger conservation policing in South Africa, so it's not really happening so much here. And just on that, many of you will have read the Great Elephant Census, or bits and pieces about the Great Elephant Census, and if you haven't, go and read it. And I too was scandalized by some of the assertions it made about there being a 30% loss in elephants in Tanzania. I think it's something like they reckoned an elephant was being taken out every 15 minutes by poachers. And then I read an article that very cleverly described how the statistics in that Great Elephant Census are in fact rather nicely manipulated for headlines. And the thing is that, and if you haven't read it, just go and you'll find nice summaries online. Nobody's ever done a census like that before. And so when they start saying there's been a reduction of X number or an increase of X number, it's actually impossible. It's comparing apples with oranges because nobody has ever counted elephants in this way before. So it's quite interesting. We don't actually know. Are elephants threatened in their range? Yes, they are. Is there huge habitat loss? Yes. Is there poaching? Absolutely, there's poaching. Should we do more to protect them? Absolutely, we should. But we can't do it on the back end of sort of extremist and misleading headlines that are sort of designed to raise funding, I guess, for NGOs only, as opposed to spread the truth. And it's a very delicate balance we have to walk there. That is an amazing shot. Sorry, I couldn't see that. My sun shining on the monitor. That's fantastic. That's very cool. Now, I just want to give you a little bit of an update from Buffelshoek. At Buffelshoek, they have found Mvula, so he still knocks around. He's still doing very well up there. Obviously, he's found himself a bit of a vacant territory. He's been there for some time, and he's calling, and I'd love to be able to see him a bit more, I must say. But he's doing very well at the moment up in Buffelshoek, and they've just found him again. Right, let's move on from this particular group. There's another group just around the corner. And while we do that, Taylor has got what seems to be her bird of the morning, some more hornbills.
Behind the silver cluster leaf, there is indeed a yellow-billed hornbill. Now, Jandre and I have been watching these hornbills for a few minutes now, and it's quite interesting. It seems as though two males are fighting over a female. Now you're going to just sit here for a little bit and see if they carry on. I'm going to go forward actually, John. If you can see that one's coming out quite nicely again. It's not hiding behind the sticks anymore. But they are dive bombing each other. It's quite something to see. There we go forward. They sit like that, no, typical. Now they're flying away. And they race towards each other and try and push each other off the branches. It's been quite entertaining. Let's see if they're going to come back. No, it seems as though they're finished chasing each other in this area and they've now moved out of sight. Anyway, it was quite amazing. We have a little glimpse of something like that. No, Jigger, come on, Jigger, come on. Maybe we get to see it again, but that was very interesting. I don't think I'd seen hornbills fighting. Sorry, Kirst, can you please go with that again? I didn't hear you very well. There we go. Sorry, there's a little bit of static this morning. So, Dark Tranquility wants to know if... Oh, here we go. We've got hornbills again. If hornbills are related... Oh, this is going to be interesting. I think we're going to have a little bit of a fight again. If they are related to toucans... I'm not entirely sure, but with the structure of the beaks, they're quite similar. So possibly, maybe they are distant cousins of each other. But you get hornbills all over the world. Yeah, I know you get hornbills in Asia. Apparently, Kirsty was telling us they look very much, or in Thailand, they look very, very much like, not Thailand, Kirsty, where are you? In Vietnam and Singapore. And they look very much like our crowned. An oriental pied hornbill, which look very much like our crowned hornbills. Now let's see if we get a bit of dive bombing again action. Anyone know? No. Oh, hang on, we've got a pair. Here we go. We're going to see it again. These two are chasing each other. Did you see that? Look at this. Let's see again. Now they've sat on either side of the road. I'm going to have to roll. Can I roll forward? Let's try. I'm going to go forward again. I think we're going to get a show from these two as they bob and dive onto each other. We're going to see who's going to make the first move. We've got contender number 1 on the left, and we've got contender number 2 on the right. Let's see. You can see just the silhouette there. Let's see who's going to make the first move. Now, they are definitely fighting over a female. There must be one. Watch. There you go. Running away. Wow! Look at that. Look how quick they're going too. Sure. They're quite violent. I didn't realize they're quite violent. They're really trying to knock each other out of the tree. Now, wow. Look at that. With those big beaks, I can do some serious damage. Go. This is amazing. This is the first time I've ever seen hornbills fighting like this. Go for it. Chase them away. Where's the next one? Now, that was amazing. There was just 2 of them, and then a third one joined in. Now this female is causing lots of distress here, but this is how they have to battle it out. And the female will sit and wait until the winner reveals himself. Now it's gone very quiet, but we often see this as calm before the storm, and then out of nowhere they start smashing each other again out of the trees. Now, it might be a bit difficult because I don't think you can quite hear how they crash through the branches. So it looks all delicate and dainty, but they're quite rough. They're very rough. Here we go. Where's the next target? It's going straight over our heads. I just keep doing circles around this area, so I think we could have a good position here. I can hear another one calling in the distance. Let's see. We're going to have to be a bit patient and wait for them to all regroup. Wouldn't it have been amazing if we were able to actually see who wins this argument? I'm very quiet, just having a break. Oh no, coming in hot. Where are you going? Straight over us. Straight over the top. Okay, we're going to have to do a little bit of reversing. Let's reverse. Alright, if I can get Jigger to go. Going back at quite a speed, so I'm just watching behind us. We chase these hornbills down, watch them as they bash and beat on each other. No, don't go too far away again. I keep coming back, so I'm reluctant to leave. We've got one here. Mr. Hornbill, you're going to stay still for us? Oh. There's one in the tree. You can see just up top. Now let's see if anybody comes back. Just hopping around there. Like we said, it's gone quiet again. And I can't believe how quickly they move. I mean, they're quite large birds. And they do fly beautifully the way that they sail along. However, I didn't think they were able to turn so quickly in the air. I mean, almost pivoting right on the spot. And then tackling down onto the ground. That was amazing. Right. Sorry, I'm listening to some of the comments that are coming through. So, sorry, I must apologize if I don't get the names correct. Some bizarre reason my earpiece has gone very, very soft. And I think you said Zef Tech, is that right, Kirsty? And thank you for the comment. Oh, Vet Tech, that makes more sense. Vet Tech made the comment that if the safari thing doesn't work out for me, I could always be a commentator for the mixed martial arts fighting. Wouldn't that be exciting? Right, it seems as though the Hornbills have now moved away. Good luck to the three that were having a little bit of a brawl, and I hope that nobody is seriously injured. But that was quite amazing. That was another first for me on safari, being able to see hornbills battle it out. We're having a great birding morning. Normally we don't see the hornbills doing too much, but we've seen them doing so many different things. We've seen them eating caterpillars, we've seen them grooming themselves and preening their feathers, we've seen them boxing. Quite amazing. Now this road is a little bit on the bumpy side. I believe we're on a boundary. Oh, it's a wildebeest. Come back, wildebeest. He's moving off into the distance. I don't think it's Gnorman. You can just see that black figure moving across the screen now. There's signs of life out here, which is quite wonderful. Sure. I hear a very trumpeting elephant in the distance. It possibly was a bit far for all you to hear. It sounds like a calf is desperately trying to suckle, and Mom is saying no. Bit of a tantrum. And now the wildebeest is in a jog and racing away. Not particularly racing. Off he goes and disappears. But we're still making our way towards the open plains. And we've got a bit of wind that's picked up. And I think that's, oh my goodness, this is a bumpy road. I think that's partially my fault now, because I said that there was no wind, so I jinxed us. We're carrying on. Now, I believe that this is a good area to check to see if the cheetah have perhaps come from the south and come across north. I'm just taking a little slow drive along here, making sure I don't miss those unique footprints. My earpiece is definitely not cooperating this morning. Right. Nothing along here. Always good just to keep checking the fire breaks as well as all the animal pathways. But we'll get to those plains soon enough. Right. Strictly checking through here. Ooh, Justin. Now that is an interesting question you have asked. Justin would like to know, if humans go extinct, what will be the next dominant species that comes through? Now, it's a tough one. I'm going to have to go with primates. I think that because they've got thumbs, they're already one step ahead of everything else. So I reckon it would only be a matter of time before they possibly take over. But it makes me quite scared. What was that movie called? The Planet of the Apes? I don't like movies like that. It makes me very nervous when I see things like that. So that would be my guess. Now, I hope that lions never evolve thumbs. I may be a bit nervous then. I wouldn't want to be around. That's what I think. Now this road is lovely and sandy that we're going through now. So it makes it quite easy to be able to pick up on any tracks that potentially are going through. Oh, we've got a cool tree. I have a tree that I haven't seen for a while that's got very long pods. See this one over here? How awesome is this? This is a Shambok pod tree. Can you see that? Look at all those lovely pods. It's very easy to identify. Leaves almost look a little bit like a tree wisteria. But then, of course, they lack these very, very long pods. Now, they can get even longer than that. And I remember playing games with my brother, and we used to break these pods off, and we used to chase each other around and use them like whips. Obviously, that game always used to end in tears, and my mom never used to be very happy with my younger brother and I, but, well, that's what siblings do, and I turned out all right. Not so bad, but a lovely tree. Nice. I can't believe I haven't been seeing too many of them. They seem to just be scattered few and far between. Isn't that lovely? Right, we're going to carry on because I'd really want to get to... No. Please, Jigger, I don't like turning you so much. It's me. Jigger's got an... I'm just going to just take a moment to just regather my thoughts before I get to... I'm getting very cross with myself because there's a trick to how you turn Jigger on. That is the trick. And then I get too excited and I don't turn the key enough on her. And then she just goes, I'm going to die again. And my earpiece, oh my goodness, tell you, the dramas in my life today. Not really any drastic problems. I just apparently didn't dress myself very well, but now my earpiece feels a little bit better. I think it's going to stand, and I can see some opening coming up, so I suppose that must mean that the plains are just around the corner. Oh, we drove past again, we didn't see Tundi, so I think she's moved out of that area completely. Perhaps she did finish off her 2 Impala kills that she had. She was there for quite a few days. I'm always listening out to the radio to see if anybody has managed to find her and see if they found her with her little cubs, which we will try and keep you updated. Oh, isn't this beautiful? Now, the last time that I came down here, it was very brown and very dry. It looked very much like a desert. And now it is lovely and green. Now, I'm just scanning because I do want to have a look and see if I can see any little cheetahs sitting on a termite mound or on the ground anyway. Nothing just yet. Look, lots of elephant tracks as well going through here, so possibly we may see an elephant or two, or maybe they've already come and gone. Now, where's Gnorman? Gnorman! I don't see him yet. Very quiet, except for this Birchall starling, whose feathers are looking quite wonderful in this light. Again, you see some of the nice sort of purples that are coming through on the back of the wings. Isn't that a lovely bird? Just sitting there. Now you can see, you can use this Birchall starling though as a wind gauge. You can see that the wind is now coming from the south and blowing towards the north. And I think it's very strategic the way that it's standing, because if it had its bum facing the other way, it would almost be doing a somersault. Or a roly-poly. I don't know, we call those things strange. What did you call a somersault or a roly-poly? somersault. Okay, I don't know if it's the same for all of you watching and the rest of the world. What do you call a tumble? I suppose is another word, where you tuck your legs in and your head and you do a bit of a roll. We call it a somersault, or I suppose a roly-poly or a tumble, any of those. Wonderful, strange language of South Africans. A bull. Here's a real good word from Jeandre. That's, we would call a tumble, a somersault, a roll. We'd call it a bola makisi. Strange word, eh? Bola makisi. Now, as I said that, obviously that Starling didn't like that word very much. What is wrong with me today? Goodness gracious. We'll just Raving sorts lots of problems out in my life, apparently. I'm falling to absolute bits. Right, let's check these pans. Well, while I scout around here and have a look for any sign of life on the plains of Cheetah Plains, let's go back to James and see what he's up to.
I'm being indecisive, everybody. I've decided that I was going to go that way, now I'm going to go this way. We'll be okay, don't worry, Brian. No. This is where Brian and I last saw Karula with the two youngsters. And of course, with leopards, it is very much a psychological thing that whenever you go past a spot where you've seen a leopard before, there you would expect to see a leopard, despite the fact that it almost never happens like that, as it is not happening now. I had a very wonderful elephant sighting while you were away, but the elephants, I'm afraid, moved off. So we moved off, and now we have come into the area where we saw Karula last, just on the off chance that she hasn't come back here. Also searching for more signs of the spring. I got to tell you, there's a very chilly wind coming out of the south today. It feels very wintry, almost snowy, doesn't it, Brian?
It does.
One might expect snow to fall from this blue sky today.
Potentially.
It is highly unseasonal for October the 5th to have an ambient temperature like this. Ooh. There's a bit of an oriole fight going on here. Hello, David in Napa. Appropriate name for the question you've just asked. You said, when does the rainy season start? Well, we took a little bit of a bet on when we'd get the first inch of rain, and 20 millimeters or so, and the person who won it was David on our crew, and it happened around about, I think, the 18th of September. Now, that's not really the rainy season, I suppose, although it is the first rains. And we'll get rains like that in a normal year every so often leading up to December, but it starts to build and build. And then the main rains between January and February will have the proper rains. But it should give us a little bit of rain going up until that time. So I suppose you could say the rainy season has started, but strictly speaking, I wouldn't say. Just listen, we can't see any of these things. Just listen. What you got?
I've got them.
You got them. Oh, there are lots of them singing away. And the sound is just so gorgeous. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 I can hear. 6. Isn't that cool? Now this will be some sort of territorial dispute, because it's now breeding time for the birds. Oh, and I've just heard a lovely sound that I'd hoped to hear this year, and that's the sound of one of the weavers, the village weaver. I'm talking nonsense, it wasn't a weaver. It was a southern black tit. Sorry about that, everyone. I just got so excited because we saw no yellow weavers last year because there was no water. Isn't that a gorgeous sound? It's astounding. Now, although that bird is beautiful, the African golden oriole and European golden orioles, which will be coming back here very soon, oh, they're like those birds, but with a plain gold head, and that's quite something to see. Alrighty, let's carry on our quest while the orioles have a fight. Which doesn't sound very angry, the call that they're making, but they'll be sounding very angry to each other. As far as I'm aware, I don't think she has been seen again since we had that incident with the baboons. Alright, Taylor has managed to find quite a lot of life there on the plains of cheetah. It isn't a cheetah she's found, it's a mozzarella producing bovid.
I wish we were looking at a herd of cheetah. That would be a first, but alas, we haven't found any sign of a cheetah out here, but we found a decent-sized herd of buffalo. There's probably about 30 or so of them here moving through, and we're hoping that they're going to go towards one of the pans to have a drink. And wouldn't that be great? Now, it's unfortunate that we don't see big herds of buffalo anymore. We just see them in smaller groups, occasionally the odd 100. And the reason why I say it's sad is because in the 18th century, the buffalo were the most abundant species of ungulate south of the Zambezi River. Quite amazing. Their herds were an average size of about 3,000. Now we hardly ever get to see numbers like that. I don't think there are very many places, sort of north of South Africa, where you would see big herds of buffalo. I know when I was in the lower Zambezi, the smallest herd I saw was about 800, and the biggest I saw was about 1,500. That was quite spectacular. But now imagine seeing 3,000 buffalo together. I mean, it's quite amazing to see a few million wildebeest all huddled up together. But I just think buffalo just ooze power, just with their sheer size. And imagine all the oxpeckers that we would see. It would be quite noisy, not only from the buffalo as they're chatting away and mooing and communicating with each other, but you'd get quite a nice hum, I think, coming from all the oxpeckers. Now, with this herd, something I'm going to be keeping my eyes open for is some yellow-billed oxpeckers rather than just the good old red-billed oxpeckers. I haven't seen any since I've been up here yet, so that's another bird I'd like to add to my Northern Sands list. You can see them all coming through here. Now, the thing with the buffalo is at one point it looked like they weren't going towards the pan, though now they seem to have changed direction slightly, and they could come across to us, which would be quite nice. Look at this young bull that we're staring at the moment. There's an oxpecker that flew onto his ear, quite happily just taking a break and ruminating, and this big cow crossing in front of the screen. How rude, you just stole that bull's moment. Now, I would like it if they would go and drink from a small pan. It would be quite nice to actually get a good idea of exactly how many buffalo are here. Maybe there's a few more than 30. There could maybe even be up to 50. I can see quite a few more buffalo coming out from the thicket beyond. And I think do we need to get in front of them again? I think we should get in front of them again. Otherwise we're just going to see their bums. Oh, we've got a few more. Yeah, let's do that. Let's quickly just jump ahead. Now, Jigger. Yes. Okay. So I always get nervous of turning the key too much. Obviously I don't want to break the starter motor, but with Jigger that's obviously an exception. Oh, we won't go too far ahead. They're crossing this nice open area now, just a little bit of a gap. Oh, there we go. Isn't that beautiful? And you can see all the buffaloes coming out. Now, after I was telling you about the great, vast numbers of the buffalo that we used to see in the 18th century. You're probably now wondering, well, why don't we see them anymore? What happened to those big herds? And that, unfortunately, was due to a disease called rinderpest. I don't know if any of you have heard that, but it's an infectious viral disease that plagues cattle. And we obviously see it then in buffalo. Sometimes you can see it in giraffe and wildebeest, as well as warthogs occasionally. Now, that disease was brought over from Asia with the cattle that they started bringing through to Africa. Remember, there's no indigenous cows in South Africa. They were all brought over. And unfortunately, that disease then spread to the wild populations of buffalo throughout the continent. And we lost about 95% of our buffalo in southern Africa. It completely wiped them out. Terrible. Now we are only left with about 30,000 buffalo in the greater Kruger area, where I'm sure there would have been a few 100,000 buffalo in this greater Kruger area if it wasn't for the rinderpest. And now, unfortunately, these buffalo are still not safe. They are plagued with some diseases like foot and mouth disease, as well as bovine tuberculosis. And hopefully, with them breeding all these disease-free Cape or African buffalo in the quarantined areas, so typically along the coastline, I know the Eastern Cape in South Africa, I talk about that a lot, but that's where I'm from. And they do big buffalo breeding projects there where there's never been any tuberculosis or foot and mouth disease. And hopefully, over the next 20 years or so, they'll be able to breed the populations right up, where at one point they'll be able to reintroduce them into these areas and let them repopulate disease-free. Now, the reason why it's such a problem to have diseased buffalo is because something like the lions, whose favorite food in the greater Kruger area is buffalo, they can contract tuberculosis and also die from it. So can kudu, so can honey badgers, and we don't want this, obviously. We don't want any animal populations to decline. But it's a big project, and I think it's going to take a number of years before they can, unfortunately, sort it out. Remember, a fence line, unfortunately, doesn't stop the spread of disease, and that's what they thought many, many years ago, is that by just having a little fence, post and rail, a few strands of wire, that will keep the diseases out. And that's how these buffalo contracted tuberculosis and foot and mouth disease. They needed something a bit stronger, unfortunately, than a little fence. But let's reposition again. These buffalo, lovely. They're going to come out for us. I think they could be going to the pan, Jean-Andre. Good job. Let's see, they're changing. They keep changing. They could turn around again. Now, it's obviously quite difficult to predict the animals' movements, and we don't really want to try and predict their movements all the time. But in this case, in order for us to get the best position in the pan, that's where we want to go. Which way is the pan? That way. That way exactly they're going. But before we do, look at all those spider webs. I just want to show you something here while we look at the buffalo as they pass by. That's amazing. We're going to have a closer look because I want to just double check and see which way. It looks like there could be more than one type of spider there. I suspect, though, this is from community nest spiders that have been building away. You can see the buffalo walking close. Excuse me. You're trying to talk about the spiders here. You had your turn. You can see. I suspect that it is from community nest spiders. Possibly there's the odd orb web spider building its nest around there as well. Some of those strands of silk look quite large, but too big for the community nest spiders. But isn't that amazing? Beautiful. Halloween is obviously just around the corner. That looks like a very creepy tree. Here the oxpeckers chirping quite nicely. Now, I haven't seen the buffalo doing too much browsing, which is great, because they don't particularly like to eat the leaves, but they have to. That's quite exciting, though, that they can go back to feeding on what they love most. Okay, so Jean-Andre, what's going to be our best approach to this dam? Do we carry on straight, or do we go down this way? Okay, going down there. I'm going to go forward again and get these buffalo coming straight towards us. I think that'll be quite nice. And they are very much relaxed around the vehicles. We had one just about lick the side of our car door. It wouldn't move off the road. You've got to herd the buffalo. Hello, buffalo. Now, don't run away because I was just telling everyone how kind and relaxed you normally are. Now, you can see they're not in a hurry to go anywhere. They just give us dirty look. Hi. She's quite inquisitive. Hello, lovely lady. Not really bothered by us at all. Just listening. Probably saying all sorts of things about us. There you go. There's nice grass for you to feed on. Oh, that's little look like wild asparagus that you were eating there. Going back to your friends. They're coming around. Don't panic. They're all around us. She's going back. Obviously doesn't feel too comfortable without the rest of the gang. Now, I haven't seen very many calves. There's just the one or two older calf in here, but no new babies. But perhaps we'll start to see some now in the next few months. There's a few rather large cows in here. Ah, and if you go, Johnny, look how this one has now held up the queue. He's gone to sleep. Look at that lazy one over there. He's decided to sit down. No, your day's not over just yet. You need to get to the water, have a drink first, and then you can have a lie down. There's an oxpecker going to his nose. Yes, oxpecker irritate that cow, so she gets up and she carries on. Because if you sit down, you could start a trend, and then nobody's going to go and drink water. That oxpecker looked happy. It looked like it got a little parasite of some sort. No, don't copy her, Matilda. Well, they're slowly coming. No one else has sat down just yet. It's just the one. Oh, no, don't you do it. No, it looks like we've got another contender going down. Oh, no, but you're going to miss out on the great party, the pool party. Look at all that dust. And a third one, and a fourth one, and they're dropping like flies. Let's hope we get a few of them that decide to not fall to the peer pressure that's obviously going on in the setting. Shame on you, Martha. It just looks like all the cows that are deciding to have a break. Oh, something's itchy. Maybe it sat on something and didn't quite like it. Look at all those ticks. Oh no, that's terrible. Lots and lots of ticks all on the udders. Oh, that can't be very nice. But that's where the ticks like to go. Now, I don't know if a cow's tongue is rough enough to be able to loosen all those parasites that are feasting away. But no, never fear. Ticks are good. It's a good sign that the animal's in a healthy condition as well. Yes, that's something I've always wished I could do, is use my tongue to lick my nose. Buffalo seem to do it quite well. And giraffe. Did you missing your nostril? Oh no, so you're just cleaning the top of your nose as well. Show off, that's talent. Oh, and a yawn. All in one, eh? Putting on a real show for everybody today. That's quite hysterical. It's the small joys in life that I like to appreciate. Well, while I carry on, or Jandre and I carry on watching this buffalo lick its nose, let's go back across to James on Djuma.
There is the tailor's favourite bird of the morning, the yellow-billed hornbill, which is very nice, of course, to see. Well, everyone must have a turn to see the yellow-billed hornbill, of course. Now, we've come into this area where, you know, we have been looking for Karula, but we failed dismally so far. But also along this sort of stretch of road next to that termite mound, we have seen what one of our favourite viewers, Gracie, aged 9, calls the cinnamon bun bird. That is a cinnamon-breasted bunting. Now, they were scarce during the course of the winter. And let's see if we can't find a cinnamon bun bird now, especially as Brian and I start to get a little bit peckish as breakfast looms. Now, cinnamon-breasted bunting, everybody, is a little finch-like bird about that big, so they're not very easy to see. But luckily, Brian Joubert has the eyes of a young man, and maybe he will spot them. Now, I'm quite interested in what these hornbills are eating. Brian, can you see what they're eating on the ground there? That's them there. Do you think it's termites maybe? Can't imagine what else it would be. It's so continuously amazing to me how they manage to pick up such tiny little things with those great big long beaks. That's so sweet. Right, let's go a little bit further forward, see if the cinnamon bun bird is also around. They're being very, very confiding, these hornbills. Not so much anymore. I'm going to get out and see what they were eating, Brian. See if we can eat it too. Would you like to eat what the hornbills were eating?
Yes, please.
You would? Okay. Well, let's have a look-see.
It's nearly breakfast time.
It is nearly breakfast time, Brian. They were in here, weren't they?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. There are two jumping spiders here, everybody. I'm not sure that they were eating jumping spiders. Unless there's been some emergence of them, perhaps. But I suspect what's more likely is that the jumping spiders were eating what the hornbills were eating. I can't find anything here. Maybe there was an emergence of jumping spiders where they would have emerged from, I don't know. There are lots and lots of them actually, they're all over the place. I'll try and catch one. Oh, no, it jumped away, Brian. Tiny, no, that's exactly what it is. They were eating these jumping spiders, because some of them are very small. Little spiderlings. No, I'm afraid they're rather too fast. Tiny little jumping spider, and they'll be hunting ants. Probably, at that size, they're not very big at all. See how small they were, Brian?
I didn't actually see any.
But that's how small they were. That's why you didn't see them, you see. They're very, very small. On we go. Whew. Just a bit stiff today, Brian. Right, cinnamon bun bird coming up. On this termite mound there used to be many. It was like a bakery full of cinnamon buns. But none today. Right, on we go. Let's keep going. Karula's favourite tree is also not far from here. We'll have a look in that. Things look a little bit, well, there doesn't seem to be a great deal around this particular part of the reserve. Which is a bit strange. It's normally very productive along here. I'm sorry about the wind in my microphone, everybody, but it's a new microphone that, well, let's just say it was designed by somebody who shouldn't be designing microphones, should probably be designing blocks of wood. nothing I can do, I'm afraid. We will sort it out in the coming days, though. There's Karula's favourite tree, Brian. You know, if you can't see the leopard herself. How do we know it's her favourite tree? Well, we've seen her in it many times. Is she there, Brian? You don't see her spotted pelage there, lying in the boughs? No. Ah. Now, I'm sure many of you know what a bough is, if not everybody. But I once said, during the course of a show, I said, look at the leopard sleeping in the leafy boughs of that tree. And I shan't, the person who shouted at me shall remain nameless, but they said, that's ridiculous. You can't tell somebody that there's a leopard lying in the bowels of a tree. It was very distressing. Anyway. A bough, for those of you who don't know, is a branch, not a bowel, which is of course something entirely different. A tree doesn't have a bowel, Brian. No. No intestines. Okay, we're going to go back to Taylor on the plains before I say something even more ridiculous. We're going to do a little loop around onto the southern boundary and back towards the dam, and then sort of head towards Quarantine and see what's going on there.
Well, we've moved away now from the big herd of buffalo. They seem to have sat down. We found some Duggar boys, as you can see, and they really are true Duggar boys this morning. So if you've just tuned in or you are quite confused as to what I'm talking about, Duggar means mud. And that's typically what the word we use to describe big buffalo bulls. He's coming out slowly. We'll be patient. He's going to pop out shortly. And there are two of them. And normally once they're too old and a bit slow and can't quite keep up with the breeding herds anymore, they'll go and move off and be on their own, maybe in one or two or small bachelor groups. And they love to find themselves some lovely fresh mud. And then they wallow in that to keep themselves nice and cool, as well as to kill all the parasites. But it doesn't look like they're too interested in the mud just yet. It looks like they're just munching away. And he's come out quite nicely now. Here he is. Now he's massive. He's got a beautiful sized body and a lovely thick neck. Hasn't quite developed a dewlap just yet. I'm just trying to have a look at his horns. He's in wonderful condition. I can't work out why he wouldn't want to be in the big herds with the females. And he seems to be in the prime of his life. His horns don't look too blunt either. He's got a little bit of a dewlap. He's a lovely boy. Now, if you go back towards some of the other pans, there's actually some water with mud in, if you're lost and looking for the spa. That's another thing. I don't know why people pay so much money for these seaweed and mud wraps when we've got perfectly good mud wallows that would do exactly the same thing. They can be a little bit stinky from everything else that's been wallowing around there, but if you can look past that, then it's much sort of more value for money. And this one giving us a death stare, typical death stare of a buffalo. Yes, we know that you're there, but we know you're not going to do anything to us. He's also beautiful, lovely condition. Now, perhaps these chaps are just ahead of that breeding herd that we saw. Maybe they are still a part of the herd, and they're just coming through, surveying the area, having a munch. Maybe they'll go back. I can't imagine that these lovely males would want to leave the herds. They'd definitely be the top dogs in a breeding herd. Lovely boys. You can see that they really didn't succumb to the harsh conditions of the drought. They managed to push through, and that's what's so good about, well, that's what happens when you've got good genetics, is that you seem to last a bit longer. Lots of starlings running around in hot pursuit of the buffalo, hoping for an insect to pop out as they shuffle through this sort of drainage. Isn't that lovely? Wonderful. Right, let's carry on. We're driving roads that I haven't driven yet. Jean-Andre is very kindly teaching me the boundaries where I can and where I can't drive. And just behind us was the Greater Kruger National Park. Not allowed to go there. Did you hear what? We can't go here, so I have to turn around. More, but I really wanted to. Silly rules and procedures. I didn't hear very clearly. I must apologize. We seem to be in a little bit of a bad patch. Okay. Apologies to everybody, and apologies to you too, Kirsty. You're coming through very statically, so I know that James Richard is asking if we please keep an eye out for jackals. They tend to like this area on Chisa Plains. Definitely looking out for them. Now, because it's daytime, probably won't be too active. What we might find them is actually just sitting under a tree of some sort, just hiding away in the shade. So I'll scan quite nicely for you and have a look. And I mean, quite amazing is that I think I have seen it. I think I've just seen a side-striped jackal up here. And down in the southern sector of the Sabi Sand, we don't see too many blackback jackal. Actually, while I was there, I only ever saw 2, which is a miracle as well. Because the last ones that were seen while I was there was in 1972, quite a long time ago. We tended to only see the side stripe. Now, the buffalo all sat down. And now they're back up again, walking, so we'll have another look at them, seeing as they're being a bit more active. I'm glad that Martha and Matilda's attitude towards the rest of the team didn't really affect them too much. But I think they're possibly going back to the Kruger National Park now. I think they've had enough of us here. The lion's eating them. Hi, buffalo. We're going to get them hopefully funneling straight past us. Well, that's the plan. You know, let's go a little bit further ahead. Right, and we're going to get into a lovely position in 3, 2, 1, and we are here. Hello, buffalo. Look at them, all of them staring at us. They don't look too impressed. Sorry, I'm parking on all sorts of slopes today, so as you can see, keep adjusting. There they are. Not too many buffalo, but a nice amount. Wouldn't like to stumble across them on foot, though. A wall of buffalo. They're like tanks. And you see quite a mixture of the sexes in the herds, which is normally unusual because we see elephants, only females, and obviously young bulls. With zebra, it's normally one male, lots of females, and the same thing for the impala and the kudu and the rest of the antelope, besides the small ones that mark and defend territories. Oh, listen. Can you hear the African cuckoo? I'm looking behind. Where are you? Oh, you're right above us. Can you get that? Can you see the African cuckoo? I don't know if you could hear that. Sorry, everyone. It caught my attention. I may have to reposition. There it flies. Oh, sorry. There you go. You just saw it fluttering off into the distance. And I don't know if you managed to hear that. Hoo, 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 hoo. That was an African cuckoo. So I drew your attention away from the buffalo, but that's very typical of me. I get distracted by all sorts of things. That is amazing. We can go forward again for our friends the buffalo. No. Hold it. Let's go make another approach. Hi, buffies. It's okay. You don't have to worry about us. All moving around, oxpeckers catching rides. Well, if you have just joined the show, you've missed lots and lots and lots. We had lions earlier this morning. We had lots of birds, lots of yellow-billed hornbill. We've now got a beautiful herd of buffalo who are making lots of noise. And they're just crossing the road in front of us quite casually, going about their day. And now, sorry, I got distracted by the cuckoo. I was telling you about the various sexes and how... Oh, look at all those oxpeckers. That's unfair. Distribute yourself. You can't all just jump on the same buffalo. Looks like they're having a bit of an argument amongst each other. That, or there's a 2-for-1 special on that buffalo with ticks, I'm not sure. Haven't quite learnt the language. But unlike, I'll eventually finish what I'm wanting to say, unlike the other animals, you get a mixture of both male and female that are both vitally important in a breeding herd of buffalo. You see, we saw those lovely specimens of males, those two that are slightly separated, or it's actually a head in the herd, and they play a very important role in protection and protecting the herds. And then of course you've got the females that come through, who are the pathfinders. There's a group of them that'll not often lead the way, and they've been passed down information from their mothers, from their grandmothers, of the best sort of routes to go, where to find water, where to find the best green grass. And then all the little ones in and amongst between. But that's very nice. But I suspect they're not going to stay on our traversing area for too much longer. I reckon in the next 20 minutes they'll be in the Kruger National Park. And it won't be too long before some lions find them and chase them back across, so I'm sure we'll see this lot again sometime soon. I still didn't see a yellow-billed oxpecker. I'm looking and I'm listening. I could just see the red. The call of the yellow-billed oxpecker is slightly lower, not as high-pitched as the red-billed oxpeckers. But none of that just yet. And I had a close look at those that group that landed on that female buffalo, and there were none there. And buffalo always look so tired when they're walking. It's such a lovely morning and there's hardly any wind. Just a slight breeze, but it's quite nice because it's warming up. I'm going to have to start taking my jackets off soon. And now we're just seeing their rumps disappearing into the distance. Wonderful. Very nice. Well, that's the end of our buffalo, I'm afraid. They're moving out of sight now. And we're going to have another little look around. And we're going to see if we can possibly find some jackals for James this morning. Any other requests? Any other orders you'd like to add to the menu? And see what I can conjure up for us. Jerry from Australia would like to see ostrich. Well, this is a very good area to see ostrich. Let's go this way. I like the open plains, but unfortunately there aren't too many ostrich left in the Sabi Sands as a whole, and even to see them in Kruger is it's not very common. Now, unfortunately, hyenas like to eat ostrich. I've heard of cheetahs quite enjoying them, and even though there are a few adults around, their eggs don't seem to last for too long. Now, they don't construct a really big nest and up in a tree. Ostriches can't fly, in case you didn't know. They make a sort of a scrape on the ground. Very basic. They just kick away all the sticks and all the stones, and then they lay their eggs, and both the male and the female will actually partake in incubating those eggs. Should we go down here, Jean-Jane? Let's go down here. And unfortunately what happens is, because those eggs are down on the ground and quite exposed, you'll get things like all the water monitors, rock monitors, jackals, baboons, hyenas, all sorts of little critters coming through and trying to get those eggs, of course. And they've got quite a tough shell, and then when mom or dad is standing guard, nothing will really bother them too much. Right. Well, while I continue on the search for either an ostrich or a jackal, let's go back across to Mr. Henry himself.
Everyone, we've come back towards the Wahlberg's Eagle's Nest, not to see the Wahlbergs, but because there were monkeys alarm calling around Gallagher Pan. But just up there, you can see that one of them is feeding the other. I'm sure that's Mr. Wahlberg's feeding Mrs. Let's go back a bit. Just maybe go forward. Do you think that was food, Brian, or do you think it was a bit of vegetation? It looked like nesting material to me too. Maybe they're still lining the nest for the eggie to be delivered. No, we're not going to see them. Let's carry on going, everyone. We're going at some speed towards Gallagher Pan. That's the other side of the camp. So we're coming up Twin Dams Road now. The lions are in the drainage here, still fast asleep as far as I know. We'll have a brief look at them as we go over the dam wall, and then we'll head towards Gallagher Pan. And the reason I'm quite excited is, well, I suppose it could be another one of the lions from the Pride, but also Mvula was seen not too far from the Buffelshoek boundary. They haven't found him today. They thought he was heading south. Maybe we'll be lucky. It's a bit bumpy here. Gearpiece is coming out. Camera's falling apart. It's alright as long as we see the leopard. No signs of Karula coming back, I'm afraid. Right, we'll go over the dam wall. Hold on. Hold on. See if anything's coming to drink. It hasn't warmed up a great deal, I've got to tell you, since this morning. Still a very strange cold wind for this time of the year. We'll ease past the lions, or more accurately, we'll ease past... Oh, they're up. Look at that, everybody. They've come into the sun. They've got up just as we got here. I don't know that it isn't worth just sitting here for a while. Now let's just count who's here. Let's count who's here. There's 1, 2, 3 females, 4 females, and the male. How many cubs? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm sure all the cubs are here. Oh, the male and the female are having a bit of a fight. I'm going to sneak forward a bit. 1, 2, 3, 4. Definitely only the 4 females, I think. I couldn't even count them this morning, you know. It was impossible. One, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cubs. Yeah. And 2 cubs playing with the male, that's so sweet. Well, not playing with him, he's just standing around with 2 of them. He is in excellent condition now, apart from the scarring that the mage has left on his belly. And there are reports that there was a lioness on Buffelshoek today. Now, when these lions get up, often the thought is, gosh, look at them, they seem to be limping. You know, they fight so much, and they also get very stiff, of course, because of the fighting and the physical lives that they lead, that I often think that when they stand up, yes, of course, they do look a little bit stiff and sore, but as soon as they warm up, they're okay. It's actually quite unusual to see a lion get up without looking at it and thinking, ooh, looks like it's got a bit of a limp. Alright, I'm going to suggest we carry on. We don't have many minutes left. Let's just go round the corner to Gallagher Pan. I don't think that the monkeys were alarm calling at these guys because they're quite a long way from that pan. Hello, lions. Thank you for getting up eventually. Sort of got up. Now, Brian, take your dentures out. We're going for that beautiful piece of road just along here. Hold on tight, everyone. We don't have long left, so I'm going to drive quite quickly. Okay. Hello, Chris. I'm going to bounce this question to Brian. Brian, has a cameraman ever fallen off the vehicle?
Yes, I've fallen off once.
Have you?
I have.
Who was driving?
Brent.
Ah.
But
So-
I think you weren't moving too quickly.
Brian-
Kind of tumbled off the side.
Brian tumbled off the side while Brent was driving. Did he hit a bump or something?
No, we did. We went over a bump and then I
You were just overbalanced.
something solid and I missed. And I went, oh no, went off the side.
Yes. So do we put that down to Brent's error or yours?
Bit of both.
Bit of both. Okay. So not often, no, Chris, but I have heard of guests being lost off vehicles. I nearly lost a guest off a vehicle once, driving too fast through a block, and I hit a log. Front wheel went over and I bounced, and then the back wheel hit. And of course, if you're sitting on the very back of the car, you hang over the back axle, and so the bounce is exaggerated. And I looked back, and this poor person was holding on for grim death, and her back was kind of up in the air, and if she'd been a child, her legs would have been up behind her. She managed to hold on and sit down again and had very sore knees afterwards, and I was persona non grata, really. But I have heard of stories where people have actually come clean out of the vehicles. And that can happen when you get very excited and start chasing wild dogs or lions or leopards through the blocks. Right, this is exactly where we began the drive this morning. On that, well, it's not a marula at all, is it? It's a jackberry tree. But let's just keep going. We'll just go around the corner. We're getting towards Gallagher Pan now. And of course, with it being quite a chilly day, if there is a leopard there, it might just be lying out in the sun. Of course, they may have just seen a snake. Who knows? This is the great joy of living out here, of course. You never know what's going to be round the next corner, as the cliche goes. In this case, a limping impala. That impala's been attacked. You see? Oh man, we got to see this. Look at that. Can you see it all, Brian? Oh no. Can we go forward a bit? It seems to have quite a severe injury on the back foot there, on the back leg. How's that? Back forward? Can you see anything there? There. It has been absolutely mangled. There, the monkey's alarm calling still. Good grief, that thing has escaped from, I suspect, a leopard. Monkeys are still alarm calling over there. It looks relatively fresh, and I think the only reason it isn't bleeding is that obviously there was a dust up in the bushes, not in the bushes, on the sand. That's very strange. Monkey's still calling from around here. Just going. What a horrible injury. Can't think what else would have done that other than a leopard. 'Cause I don't think a lion would have let go. Alright, we'll just spend the last minute here and see if we can't figure out what the monkeys are shouting at. Something is going down here. What it is, we don't know. Can't see the monkeys anymore. Well, I can't hear them anymore. Alright everyone, that's going to be it from us, I'm afraid. We'll keep an eye out here for a little bit longer, but I don't think that we're going to see it. Whatever it is, I think has disappeared into the drainage there. It's not over here. Alright, this afternoon I think we're on private rehearsal, so we won't see you until the sunrise safari tomorrow morning, so I'm sorry about that. Wonderful to have you with me, Brian, today. Thank you very much. A big thank you to Taylor and Jandra on the other vehicle, and of course to Kirsten and the team in Final Control. Mostly to all of you. See you tomorrow morning. Bye-bye.